Our events don't just tell stories, they provide the ultimate immersive experience surrounding various critical topics that attract and engage the industry's most influential tech decision makers. Whether it's a corporate gathering, a grand celebration, or a virtual conference, DX5 orchestrates memorable experiences that leave lasting impressions. These interactive events allow attendees to hear from spectacular speakers, access world-class content, and network with peers. Our team is well-versed in the intricacies of tech events, understanding the unique challenges and opportunities that arise in this fast-paced industry. We bring a wealth of experience in managing events ranging from hackathons and startup showcases to international tech conferences. We take care of every detail, from initial planning to post-event analysis. Our comprehensive services cover venue selection, logistics, marketing, audio-visual setup, and everything in between. This allows you to focus on your core objectives while we handle the intricacies of event execution.
Previously on CIO100. For 16 seasons, we have celebrated Africa's boldest in technology. 16 years, one stage. Now, Season 17. The saga continues. The Oscars of Tech, the event that shuts down the year. Africa's ultimate gathering of technology leaders. 500 plus attendees, 50 plus partners, hundreds of winners. 3 epic days. Speakers from across Africa, delegates from every corner of the continent. Powerful conversations that shape the future of technology. This November, 3 days, one destination. Inashipai, Naivasha. CIO100 Symposium and Awards 2025. Season 17. Register now. Partner with us. Be part of history.
Right now, I'd like to welcome George Njuguna. He's the CIO at Safaricom, and he will be delving onto matters moving fast without breaking things. An ambiguous topic, but I'm sure very important in this conversation we're having. George, karibu sana.
Thank you.
Makofi, it's okay. You can.
Good morning. I trust you're all well. Everybody had a nice evening. Nice fireside with Mr. Kahawa. Actually, Mr. Kahawa did not make it, but I'm sure he'll show up sometime. So a very interesting topic. I think maybe it derives a bit from, sometimes I say that if you don't give engineers anything to build, they'll automatically break things. So I really liked this topic. I'm not saying that our engineers break things, but just want to share experiences. I'm not selling perfection, but hopefully if we can share experiences and talk about some of the things we've learned, hopefully we can build a better and more perfect digital and IT, not just organizations, but actually country. So when I was looking at this topic, what caught me of interest is when you talk about you're building things you don't want to break, and you're moving fast, you really have to ask yourself what really is at stake. What are we talking about here? And when I look at it from our organization's perspective, just a few numbers that I always like to remind myself when we are thinking about it. We are talking about 42,000 transactions per second on the SMS platform, voice about 12,000, about 36,000 on data, 2,000 terabytes a day, and 1.5 billion transactions a month on M-Pesa. So you can just imagine what would go wrong is that we move fast and things begin to break. And at the heart of it, even beyond all of this, is actually a customer. It's somebody who's trying to send an SOS, SMS, somebody who's trying to pay, sometimes even for a medical emergency, somebody who's trying to get transportation to see their loved one who maybe just has a few days to go, somebody who's trying to buy a wedding gift for a memorable occasion. And more so even, it could be a child who's trying to get a picture with their daddy who is likely maybe even serving overseas, capturing a moment. At the heart of it, the break is not about just technology. It's really the impact that ultimately it tends to have on people. And at the heart of our conversation today, and even with my team, those are some of the things that we're always thinking about. Last year, Safaricom, our new CEO, Peter Ndegwa, launched a new vision of being a purpose-led company. But without touching on all the pillars, and I know many of you can look at this in our investor briefs, the key thing that I pick out really comes around the third line, about deepening customer engagement and experience. Peter talks a lot about being customer obsessed. He says, yes, it's okay to have great services, it's okay to have great products, but at the heart of it, what are you thinking about the customer? And it comes so high even before we talk about our transformative pillars or enablers. So what does all this mean for a CIO? I think we work in a very exciting world. Oops, somebody else has joined me. So we are really balancing what I'd call polarities. Polarities is two things that you need to handle. Let me give you one. You're being told you need to cut costs, but you need to have better stability. You're being told you need to have, you need to rationalize your resources, but at the same time you're being told you need to have the best talent. So really none of the things are bad, but you really are constantly balancing. In a real world, I always tell the team I work with that's doing Ethiopia, I'm very happy about you guys because you're building from zero. For those of us who you're in a growing concern, you're an organization that's running, these are some of the things you're dealing with. You're trying to scale and move very fast, but at the same time you need to maintain stability. There's increased complexity. If you think, we talked about moving from monolithic to microservices, and people think that that's easy. Wow. When I sit with the devs and they're telling me, George, pods are scaling and this, I'm like, wow, the monolith was a lot easier to understand than these things you're telling me about containers. And many of the times, there's limited automation in our environments. We find ourselves also, you need to be agile, a lot of releases per day. You need to give a lot of people access to systems. You're kind of devolving through the agile squads, allowing them to do a lot. But at the same time, you need to maintain stability, but the bigger S of security. Then you find barriers to adoption. These are in every organization. I'm sure even Safaricom, certainly, we're not immune to it. And I think the biggest barriers many of the times to the transformation and adoption of next generation technology is actually the mindset. Many times it's not the technology, but it's the thinking. It's how we've been ingrained, how we've been wired to work that actually stands in the way. Then, as I said, you're being asked to optimize resources, and you're really trying to figure out how do you balance costs, lowering price for customers, consumers, and at the same time offering better and better value, everybody wanting something faster and better. So we embarked on a journey about 3 years ago. We talked about DevOps and being agile, and I'll talk a bit about it, but luckily I'm here with Elizabeth and Alan, who actually live it. Elizabeth's our head of digital engineering. So the key things is we need to balance this flexibility and having stability. So what does that look like? Traditionally, we ran these big waterfall projects. Before the end of the previous financial year, you would actually step in, say these are the 30, 50, 80, 100 projects, you get your budget, you set up project teams working with vendors to do it. Now it's a lot different. Right now you talk about what is the vision and the mission you want to achieve? You say, we actually want to digitize X% of our customer experiences. And you allow the team to come up with how they're going to do it. Traditionally, you'd be buying platforms and getting vendors to do this. Now people are building platforms in-house and being able to iterate and work on it in a way that drives and supports the consumers in what they're building. So these are the balances we have to do. We need to move fast, but at the same time, as we're moving fast, we actually need to make sure that what could break actually does not break because of what it would mean. So what does that look like there's still tool sets that are extremely important. We spoke about the practices. But really, you need to deploy fast. And one of the things we've learned in doing this is gone are the days where every deployment is a situation where you get in, you have 100 engineers, you're having guys changing code, changing parameters. The fact is, and any of you who've been devs, some things just don't work. If you're having a guy on the night of the change, he's actually going there and he's supposed to have changed some parameter, maybe to a 0 or 1. Okay, let me talk in real language, yes or no, for devs. And he just forgets a 0 and a 1. You can imagine what happens. I'll give you a case. We were similar to this. We were about to do a very big launch, and I won't mention it, what it is. And we had a situation where somebody forgot to just tick one parameter. The next thing I'm seeing trending is that there's a heist going on. Genuine mistake. The guy has done this very many times. Had to figure out how we're going to close that gap and claw back billions of resources. Because naturally, when people hear there is free data, everybody finds the news reaches them long before it even reaches some of us. And so we're really trying to remove the possibility of such issues happening by actually looking how we can automate deployments. And we've been able to be very successful in that. How can you then be able to roll back without having to go through an entire project to be able to do it? How do we get to do experiments? On the M-Pesa side, we're working on what we're calling canary deployments, where you do blue-green. You actually can deploy a release to a subset of customers or a certain region. They get to test it, work on it. If you like it, you deploy it to everyone else. If you don't like it, you roll it back. Many customers have been complaining also about the downtimes that we have when we do large M-Pesa upgrades. I'm happy to tell you this last one was the last long downtime that we'll have on M-Pesa. By adoption of the new technologies, our future deployments, even upgrades on M-Pesa, will require less than 15 minutes downtime from the 4 to 10 hours that it's been taking. We just can't afford to continue having our customers have a very long downtime because we are doing changes. And then really being able to put what I call AI ops. When you run such a big operation, thousands of servers, 800 people in IT, lots of moving parts. Again, calling 30 engineers onto a call to figure out why transactions are failing. You have your USSD team, your what we call our SMSC team, TIPCO integration teams, and you get on these calls and sometimes you can lose your mind and you're having a leadership call. We're really moving to AI ops. How can the system be actually able to tell us exactly where the problem is, and not just tell us so we can fix it, but actually be able to fix and auto-heal. And that's the direction I believe that we're headed in terms of technology. Now, how does all this come together? I think there's two big things. So at Safaricom, we say, I am Safaricom, and I'm notoriously customer obsessed. So on one side, you're dealing customer obsession, and another side, you're dealing innovation. One may say that these are polarities, but in actual sense, I believe they all come together because you're innovating for the customer. But at the same time, you can't innovate and end up breaking things and say that you're customer obsessed. So how do you look at balancing it? I think it's always realizing that we don't do technology just for the sake of technology or products for the sake of it. May have tons of marketing and product people. Are we actually doing things that are actually impacting the customer and are for the good of the customer, and really being able to hear back from the customer, having the customer in the center of the room in what we're building. And so I'll just invite Liz to talk a bit about the tool chains that she does. So what we have, our digital engineering team, is really powering Agile. They not only help to bring in the developers, and I think in the last X months, about 300 new developers have joined Safaricom, but also what they do is they build the tools, the pipelines, that enable all these squads to be able to work without always coming back to central, and being able to continuously learn, iterate, and improve on what they're doing by also looking at Agile metrics. So I'll just have Liz give us a brief on what she does, and then Alan will come in and give another example, and then I'll close.
Thank you, George. So I'll just pick up from where George left. And I think for us, everything that we do is driven on what the customer is saying. Looking at the current trends, customers more and more know what they want. So when we are building our solutions, we are looking at what is the feedback we're getting from our customers, what insights we are able to derive from the data on the transactions that these customers are doing, and then we iterate this through an innovating and an experimentation spree to just be able to see if we can work from an MVP and give the customer what they want continuously. So what we have done is, for us, we've built an engineering culture. We are coming more from 3 years ago, relying a lot on partners to build software for us. But now going forward, we are saying we want to shift from buying to building ourselves. And so what we did, number one, was just to build an engineering culture. And we look at it from the point of just looking from the people, the process, and the platforms that help us really accelerate our speed of delivery, but also in terms of ensuring that we deliver quality, and this quality is delivered really fast to our customers. So we built, we looked at some modern technologies that we are using, and specifically leveraging on open source quite a lot. Since as you experiment, really open source helps you in terms of reduction for the cost, but also allows you to try a lot more tools at no cost and invest as and when you start getting value out of it. We adopted DevOps as a way of working, where we have really small cross-functional teams that are driven, working on an agile way of working. We adopted the Spotify tribe, squad, and chapter model, which is really helping us have small teams focus on a customer problem, iterate with the customer at the center through getting feedback, incorporating it, and working to build a solution for our customers. And just to move next in terms of DevOps, we adopted the DevOps way of working. This is where you have the team, both developers and operations working together. They build and run the solution. So you start thinking about operations from the time of ideation. As you build your solution, you're making sure that you're putting everything that you need to put in to ensure that this software is going to run really well on production. And we also looked at the tool chain itself. This is the continuous integration, continuous delivery tools. Again, I said we leverage a lot on open source. However, there's enterprise tools that we've bought, yes, but as we try and experiment these, we really try to make sure that we can leverage on open source. I'll move to it's not working. Sorry about that. So what we are doing is, at the moment, we have over 500 developers that are working on software for Safaricom. This is the consumer software, but also software for enterprise that Alan is going to be speaking about. And with these 500 developers working in about over 50 squads, there can be a lot of chaos in terms of people building continuously and deploying to production. Just spoke about the core systems that we have to really safeguard. And so when we are looking at this as well, we are looking at ensuring that besides us delivering really fast, we're also ensuring that our customers are kept secure, but also the quality of the software that we're delivering is top of class, and on top of that, that we don't break what is already existing. So at the moment, we are having over 400 releases per month, and that's quite a number, looking at the core systems that we have that really need to be safeguarded. And looking at these developers, so then we adopted DevOps as a way of working. And we looked at a couple of things as well. For the platforms that we are using, we leveraged on specifically public cloud. And at the moment, we are deploying quite a bit of 78% of our digital channels are running on AWS public cloud. And this has really helped us in terms of being able to take away the cares and worries of the infrastructure from the developers and allow our developers to just focus on their core job, which is software development. We looked again a lot in terms of how do we secure our releases, and as part of our continuous integration, continuous delivery, we ensure that we can automatically scan and automatically test our software to just make sure that we take away the problem of all this testing, reduce the time it takes from the time software is built to the packaging of the software and delivery of this software to production. Part of our key enablers has been really the transitioning from the monolithic deliveries or deployments to more of microservices delivery. And this allows for us, for the small teams to be able to work together, working on small features of the software, and allow these teams to be able to iterate really fast and be able to separate the concerns from the different features from each other and allow different teams to be able to work and collaborate together. But this really needed quite a lot of work and thought in terms of how do these developers really work together? How do we collaborate? You have 20, 30 people working together on the same project. And this requires investment in terms of the software, and also how do we just making sure that all these people that have been building this software can be able to continuously integrate, and this is a process for DevOps that has really been helpful for us. We looked at the tool chain that has really helped us. That is a continuous delivery tooling that allows these developers to work together, collaborate, every day through the collaboration tools, but on top of that, making sure that all this code that they are creating can be batched every day automatically, and a lot of that ensuring that the shipping and the packaging and the shipping of this software is fully automated. We've really leveraged a lot on automated deliveries as well. This has helped us in terms of removing the errors that we used to have from our configurations. When our devs used to do the work at night, sometimes we could make errors, and the automation has been helpful in terms of reducing these human errors. Another key thing for us has been a lot about also automating the infrastructure provisioning. This is something that we've done recently. Previously, we had the application delivery automated, and recently we've looked at tools, specifically because we were leveraging on AWS, and the APIs that AWS provides us allows us to be able to automate that whole process of provisioning infrastructure. And currently we've automated the whole flow from the time of building the code to the time the code is shipped into production. Another key thing for us that George had spoken about is about observability. Because then again, we have to be able to know what is happening on our software, our solutions before our customers complain. And we've leveraged a lot of tools that are there in the industry, from Elasticsearch, Kibana, Dynatrace, that is our key one at the moment that we're implementing. That way we're able to pick issues or performance issues in our systems before our customers can be able to pick that. We're looking at our desired outlook and where we want to be. I said we are really big on talent because we realize at the end of the day, we are saying we have to build. People are the ones to build this software, and we need to really build a strong software engineering talent at the moment. And we're looking at making sure that everyone who is joining IT at the moment is actually a software engineer from a start. But we also have a lot of activities that we are doing in terms of building the talent, reskilling it, and upskilling the talent. The other thing is, I said we adopted the Spotify tribe squad and chapter model, and this means that you have very small cross-functional teams that work together every day on a specific customer solution, and we're looking at getting ourselves to 80% of our staff to actually be morphed up into the tribes and 20% only to work in the COEs. And for the COEs, it's basically managing the shareable infrastructure, the shareable systems, to allow for stability as well for these and maintenance of these core systems. Key thing for us is, I said we are big on cloud, and we've made sure that all the applications that we are building are fully cloud native, and this means they can run on any cloud. So we are cloud agnostic. You can run on-prem, on AWS, on Azure, whatever cloud platform that is there. And then 80% of our software needs to be built by us. Of course, we are leveraging an insourcing model where we have partners that work with us to build this software, but as much as possible maintain the IP with us. And one of the key benefits that we've seen is previously when we really working with the vendors, and especially where the IP is not ours, you don't have the code, you can't automate the deployments, you don't have control over that code as well. And looking at the moment, customers every day want a change or want something new. So in terms of our ability to scale, this was really constraining for us. And so for us building the software, then we can change it as and when the customer needs it. Some technical help. How did it work? Okay. So we'll give two use cases of how DevOps has been really helpful for us at Safaricom, and we'll speak about the My Safaricom app. I really hope we all have it on our phones. And this was one of our first channels that we decided for sure we needed to build it ourselves and have full control of that app. And so far, we adopted fully everything that I've spoken about, the software engineering practices. It's fully inbuilt by the Agile squads. And so far, we've seen great improvements in terms of the stability measures and the availability measures. This is one of the top, actually it is the top app at the moment in Kenya, if you look at the stats. And we've so far had 5.8 million downloads. It's an app that we've really built incorporating customer feedback, looking at what the customers really wanted, and we keep to continue to iterate. We're not really 100% there. But then every day that we're getting feedback from these customers, we are taking it and trying to just making it better. At the moment, we have a 4.8 rating for Apple, and I can tell you this is really a world-class score and something that we are really proud of. Looking at the scores that we had on the previous app that we had, which we'd really leverage a vendor to build it for us. And in terms of the releases as well, this is an app that is fully on cloud, fully automated, full DevOps chain. It has full automated deployments, automated cloud provisioning. It's on AWS. We're able to scale up and down depending on the traffic that we are receiving from our customers. And I would say again, in terms of our availability, it has been one of the apps really not problematic. It's been really always available for our customers, and we've seen very good, in terms of the crash rates, 98% is really good. It's a really good metric considering the kind of phones that we have in this part of the market. So in terms of our success, I would say it's fully powered by DevOps, fully inbuilt again, and it's everything fully automated, and it's something that we will continuously build and continuously iterate on it. Alan?
Yeah, thank you, Miss. I just take a for enterprise customers, we've also looked at how we can be able to accelerate, because most businesses would be interested in the speed, the control, in terms of controlling the journey, and also the experience that they are going to get out of a platform. So what we've done is, of course, the last 19 months or so has been quite difficult for every business as well as a customer, but we had to change our approach in terms of how we get and build a talent that can be able to move in quickly, work from everywhere in the world, and being able to use collaboration tools and be able to develop much faster. How did we do this? We leveraged on development tools that we have across, the way of working being Agile framework, and then use the tools to enable at least all our developers across the globe. We have about 5 countries where all these virtual distributed teams are working together. And they were able to build a platform within a short time of about 9 weeks. We managed to deploy the first release in the month of October. Now, what does this mean to businesses? If we use DevSecOps as a practice, the best global practices, we're able to at least turn around March releases in a shorter time and be able to build solutions that can be able to empower customers, not only to have control over their journeys, but also to be able to at least manage the customer that they are serving. So our ambition is to at least give micro and SMEs at least a self-service journey that can be able to enable them to order, discover our products, and be able to at least have a way of interacting with us for the support services. Now, DevSecOps has been quite important for us. I know time has gone, but I would be handing over to John just to summarize. But it has been helpful to us in terms of at least bringing these teams together to work and use open source technologies and be able to move a bit faster in terms of delivery. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, team. I know we've taken a bit of time. I think the one thing I'd like to leave you with is this: the customer is more important than technology. Sometimes we put technology ahead of the customer. Sometimes we operate like you must go live no matter what. Our mantra now is we are moving from feature-based KPIs to customer-based KPIs. Moving from going live no matter what to going live with quality no matter what. I hope you enjoyed our DevSecOps talk and Agile. Looking forward to interacting with you.
The DX5 CIO Africa magazine is more than just pages. They're immersive experiences that provide trusted and targeted resources for chief information officers, CIOs, as well as other senior leaders in the IT industry. This publication provides important decision makers with the information they need to lead their organizations into the digital first age. Today, tomorrow, and in the years to come, this magazine will provide an original, comprehensive analysis of issues affecting technology leaders. We are shaping narratives that captivate and inspire.
Previously on CIO100. For 16 seasons, we have celebrated Africa's boldest in technology. 16 years, one stage. Now, season 17. The saga continues. The Oscars of Tech, the event that shuts down the year. Africa's ultimate gathering of technology leaders. 500 plus attendees, 50 plus partners, hundreds of winners. 3 epic days. Speakers from across Africa, delegates from every corner of the continent. Powerful conversations that shape the future of technology. This November, 3 days, one destination. Inashipai, Naivasha. CIO100 Symposium and Awards 2025. Season 17. Register now. Partner with us. Be part of history.
All right, our next speaker, as we start off our presentations, remember we will have panelists who will be joining us all through the day. We have presenters and we have panelists who will be joining us here for face-to-face conversations. And then we also have presentations that are going to be done via our large screens here. So to start us off with our first presentation, I'd like to introduce Lee. I hope I don't butcher this second name. It's S-Y-S-E. You'll correct me if I'm wrong. Lee Size, is that correct? Lee Size. I've seen a few nods. From Cloud Technology, that is VMware. He's the Cloud Technology Lead, and he's been at this for 8 years in the IT industry, having started out as an IT trainer at CTU Solutions, and then moving on to Talk in the same capacity. He holds a level 1 VIT certificate of Chief Information Officer in Management Information Systems, and he also has a CTU Training Solutions Grade 12 certificate. This will be your first presentation. Over to Lee.
Thank you very much for that introduction, and really excited to be with you guys today, sharing a narrative around how we as VMware see how businesses are evolving, and our CIOs really need to reimagine how they address certain business challenges as well. So hopefully the content today is of value to the audience. Would love to be with you live today. But just to kick off, I think this is probably a term that is used quite commonly around a lot of presentations and sessions that you guys have been in. And if in a lot of thought leadership type narratives that's been spun is around digital transformation. And digital transformation is a reality for many organizations. There was quite an interesting conversation around the education and how we're enabling our youth and so on. And if you look at a lot of the education streams, digital transformation is becoming quite an important topic as well. And it's for a couple of key reasons. So if you look at businesses today, businesses need to evolve to stay relevant. There's customers who they expect new experiences in the way they interact to either your services or how they procure your product. Because of that expectation, you need to be able to increase profitability by sparking new innovative ideas and staying competitive to competitors that's actually going in and embracing this digital transformation. So these key areas in all conversations around digital transformation probably comes up, but I think it's really a massive reality when it comes to these type of conversations. Now, moving forward towards that, if organizations had to think of transformation, there's a couple of things that needs to be addressed. And a lot of the times, I think cloud is an enabler to these conversations, but in actual fact, it's business challenges that needs to be evolved, addressed, and actually taken care of. So a lot of organizations are sitting in this situation where they need to decide, do you fix a plane while flying it, or do you try and build a new plane while trying to fly the old plane? And that whole aspect is around certain challenges around things like reducing tech debt. Sorry, just want to reshare my screen. I think there's something that went wrong there. Can you just confirm if you can see my screen full? I think there's a challenge, but I'll just reshare it. Yeah, but as I was saying, there's the situation around aspects where transformation needs to be addressed, and there's certain elements of risk that needs to be addressed as well. So for a lot of organizations, it's quite important to take into consideration the tech debt you have and go through a process of how do you reduce that tech debt? How do you reduce assets on books? We also have this process where there's these legacy applications inside your organization, and legacy doesn't really mean a bad thing. Legacy is actually quite a positive thing, because legacy applications is running your business, and it's business critical type system of record, system of record type applications that's running your business. So how do you perform this juggling act around maintaining legacy, but also in this transformation journey, looking at how do you adopt new technologies or new standpoints like a cloud operating model to reevaluate and digitize your business? We also have this way about how does organizations reframe IT. IT is not just an outcome run type competency in your organization. IT needs to be delivering business value. Cost is also being re-looked at in a lot of organizations. So there's this aspect about how do you reduce operational cost and move it into what we dub as a run cost. How do you eliminate hardware spend by adopting some type of as-a-service model? And how do you standardize operating models by utilizing technologies? Because there's certain areas or endpoints that you're consuming that is quite dispersed at the moment. How do you standardize and optimize that approach? So transformation really, and I'll repeat it again, it brings in the situation around, do you fix a plane while trying to fly it? Or do you try and build a new plane while still maintaining the old plane? Because this transformation needs to happen, but the legacy or the traditional business still needs to run. So how do you perform this juggling act in that type of scenario? And I think CIOs is of extreme importance when it comes to this transformation. But what we're also seeing is that the CIO's role is evolving. I mean, even the name is evolving. A lot of CIOs actually have a title today, like a chief digital officer instead of a chief information officer. Because digitization is a primary concern for many CIOs. And digitization is what's going to drive a CEO's narrative in order to build the business, stay competitive, have new entrants into the market, increase revenue. Those aspects are quite important. Now, I do have a long list of priorities that CIOs from a version 1 to a version 2's alignment and responsibilities are. I won't read each one, but there's a couple of ones that I think is quite important that I'd call out. So firstly, a lot of CIOs are looking at a manner of, instead of having assets on your book and owning these assets, how do you get access to assets in a faster way to compete, stay agile, and have a quicker time to market? that is quite an important thing for a lot of CIOs today. There's also this narrative around, do you want to rent certain things, and how do you manage the cost per unit for rental usage? An OpEx approach is quite a broad discussion that's happening. But also the user experience, and I think the user can be termed either your end customer or your employees in your organization. Both of those users need to be satisfied about how does your supply chain actually operate, and is it in a digital form to try and optimize it as much as possible. So CIOs are definitely having a tighter alignment to CEOs' priorities. And there's this CIO, or Chief Digital Officer version 2.0 that is evolving, and we're seeing this happen quite commonly around many organizations that we speak to. So there was quite an interesting analysis that I've seen IDC do recently. It was actually done in August this year. So I know that some of these details that's shared in most cases can be a bit of smoke and mirrors in certain elements. But I think this was really, really speaking towards a narrative of this digital first strategy. So many people speak about cloud as a endpoint or a journey or a destination that you need to be in, without actually realizing that cloud is actually an enabler to your digital first strategy. Cloud doesn't take you and make you digital. It's how do you consume cloud in order to transform your business, take advantage of the services that's available there to transform your business and make sure that you're having that competitive play in the market. So what's quite interesting around this was IDC asking the question to many organizations around how do they see cloud platforms supporting their digital transformation journey in the next 2 years. And this data was actually run in Africa. So it's very relevant to the SSA or to the African market. And it was very recent as well. So 4% of organizations mentioned that cloud platforms will not play a significant role in their digital transformation strategy, which is quite interesting, and it's quite a low percentage, which is expected. 21% of organizations said that they're going to have this primary cloud type mandate, where they're going to invest in their resources across a single cloud endpoint. The skills, the development efforts is all going to be concentrated towards a primary cloud provider. 33%, however, said that they're not going to invest in a single endpoint for cloud. It's going to be a multi-cloud approach. So the investments are going to be made around skills and resources across multiple clouds and making sure that their staff is enabled in order to consume and innovate in these different endpoints. It was also quite interesting. I think cross-cloud, multi-cloud has a bit of an overlap, but cross-cloud in relation to how do you create an operating model across multiple cloud endpoints. 31% of organizations said that is something that is quite important for them to invest in. Because you're going to have these disparate systems, how do you bring back operating models? How do you bring back unification around cost models, around costing, around many things that these multi-cloud complexities introduce? And only 11% mentioned that they're going to be aggressively using open source in order to drive their digital transformation strategies, which is quite a small number. And I think there are quite a bit of innovative companies and highly skilled organizations that would take that journey as well. And maybe to end this discussion, I know it wasn't a long discussion, but hopefully the content was relevant. I think VMware positions ourselves quite nicely in order to address the challenges that was raised, and also a lot of the challenges that was mentioned in the event today around sovereignty and so on. But where we see ourselves is supporting CIOs around a cross-cloud services strategy, and that could be in different areas. VMware's vision is to become the Switzerland across clouds when it comes to elements like cloud infrastructure, as an example. We've recently seen partnerships with AWS, Azure, Google, IBM, Oracle, and so on in regard to running a VMware stack inside the cloud for that requirement of customers wanting that cross-cloud services for infrastructure and having the same unified layer running in each endpoint. We've also got a lot of customers that are still investing in our cloud infrastructure in their own private clouds or in their own data centers. We've then got partners who also deliver private cloud as a service in country in a sovereign fashion, and that is around our VMware Cloud Verified badges as well. We've invested heavily in telco. So telco infrastructures, the whole NAV or the network function virtualization, 5G drive, and so on, is run on VMware infrastructure. And edge is still a major concern as well. On top of that, when it comes to the management of these different endpoints, we've got a strong story that we tell around this. And so with the networking and security as well. Our application platform, we know that in order to drive a digital first strategy, there's new ways of developing your services that needs to be accommodated. And we've invested in ways of bringing together new development frameworks that you as an organization could use to run those new applications, but still have the legacy applications run in the same fashion, but in an as-a-service model to address the OpEx requirements in the slide that was shown earlier. So we're really supporting that juggling act to support both narratives. But quite important as well, we've seen this disparate or this dispersed type mandates around customers or organizations having the employees working quite distributed. And our strategy around making sure that the edge sites and digital workforce is accommodated and can support working comfortably from these edge sites is something that we've invested in heavily as well. So our story really speaks to the concerns that a CIO has or the mandates that a next generation CIO has that aligns to a CEO strategy in order to grow the business. And with that, I would like to thank you for your time today and hope the content was relevant.
At DX5, we leverage the latest advancements in audiovisual technology, virtual reality, and interactive displays to enhance your events. Our team is dedicated to pushing boundaries and ensuring your event stands out in the tech landscape. Our talented team transforms ideas into reality through visual and auditory marvels. From video production to audio engineering, we set new standards for creativity as we provide quality services such as virtual events, virtual roundtables, webinars, podcasts, and studio shoots. We understand that each event is unique. Our experienced team works closely with you to understand your goals and tailor our services to meet your specific needs. Whether it's a product launch, conference, or networking event, we've got you covered. The heartbeat and hub of creativity.
Previously on CIO100. For 16 seasons, we have celebrated Africa's boldest in technology. 16 years, one stage. Now, Season 17. The saga continues. The Oscars of Tech, the event that shuts down the year. Africa's ultimate gathering of technology leaders. 500 plus attendees, 50 plus partners, hundreds of winners. 3 epic days. Speakers from across Africa, delegates from every corner of the continent. Powerful conversations that shape the future of technology. This November, 3 days, one destination. Inashipai, Naivasha. CIO100 Symposium and Awards 2025. Season 17. Register now. Partner with us. Be part of history.
For this moment, I'd like to welcome our last presenter, and that is Anthony Muyuro, the chairman, chapter ISACA Kenya, with over 10 years experience in the industry, starting out as an IT assistant at Sarova Hotels. I think you're coming back home now. You're home. And he then joined the Digital Age Institute Limited as a business solutions analyst. At the moment, he is doubling up as a member of the advisory board at CIO Africa, and is also an associate director, cybersecurity leader for cybersecurity and privacy at KPMG. The floor is yours. Karibu sana, Anthony. Makofi kwake tafadhali as he comes to the stage. Karibu.
So my name is Anthony Muyoro. Like you've heard, I lead cybersecurity for KPMG, and we are an advisory firm, also known as auditors and tax consultants, but we do a lot of advisory within, with a lot of businesses. So what I want to talk to you about as the slide is coming up, I know it's already Friday, and there's a song Ali sang last night, and it's still in my head. It's Friday, so absolutely. Excellent. So as we start, the topic that I want to talk about is a very, very interesting topic, and I'm going to try to simplify it because it's quite technical. We have techies in the room, but I really try just to come into the key salient points when we talk about zero trust. A very sexy subject because this is actually the new paradigm in cybersecurity. The book, the good book, which is my favorite book, the Bible, says that there's nothing new under the sun, right? And what we see even within today's infrastructures and how we've really modeled security to be is something that actually goes way back to the medieval ages, right? Where we have like the castle, the security paradigm was very simple. Let's keep the enemy out and let's retain the people that we trust in. So at the very periphery, you basically had limited entry points. So if somebody wanted to get into the castle, there was only one way on how to get there. And then, of course, you had the guards who would verify and check your identity. You'd have the watchtowers, and this ideally would be like your firewalls, right? Where you have your policies that ideally just inspect the rules and all that. And then you have the inner walls, and this is an attempt of what we know as segmentation. As well, you'll also have the moat, which can be called also as a compensating control, that in case that castle, you close it, no one will be able just to go on the other side because there's a big sort of ditch with water and it's very deep, right? But again, today, this model is obsolete. It doesn't really work anymore. Why? Because we've seen this change in cybersecurity. Because when you look at your typical network infrastructure, that is basically just an image that would showcase that, you have maybe a flat architecture, and with that, you know that once anyone gets in, because of course you have your firewall, right? Then you have, the SPOF rather, single point of failure. If that firewall is not working, or if anyone ideally is able to circumvent it, then you're in trouble, because now everyone would have access to everything. Now, we run a team of elite ethical hackers, ethical being a key word there, and what we normally do is we try to do a bit of simulations, particularly attack and penetration testing. It's very interesting that once you get into that environment, inside particularly the server farms, there's something we call pivoting. Pivoting is running from one asset to the other. Now, I like Joe, in his earlier presentation, he talked about even ransomware. We all know ransomware, right? How many, by a show of hands, have ever been a victim of a ransomware attack? By a show of hands. Michi, obviously. All right? Okay, how many have never been a victim to a ransomware attack? Who can tell me when the first instance of a ransomware was detected? My tech is at the back. Who wants to guess? All right, lift your hands if you agree. After the year 2010, the first instance? Okay, in the 90s? One. In the 80s? One hand? Correct. The first instance of a ransomware was actually in 1989. Who was the perpetrator? A gentleman called Joseph L. Pip. We call him Baba Ransom, right? And who was the victim? WHO official. So what he did, he had a diskette, many diskettes, and he encrypted, and he actually had a virus, and he gave it to them. And he said that this is basically information relating to HIV and AIDS research. And we are actually towards, at the brink of getting a breakthrough. So all those WHO officials, what they did is that obviously they wanted to see the content, right? And these are scientists. Out of that curiosity, their machines were encrypted. Not really encrypted, but their files were actually hidden. And he had a note, for you to get the file, please wire this, not even wire, send this money to my address. Now, there's nothing new under the sun. What we are seeing today is basically a reincarnation of the same. Because ransomware has taken the similar model, but differently. Now is when they ask you to pay their money in Bitcoin and all that. And that is what we see. So one of the key things, and the reason why I'm mentioning ransom, is because with all these ransom attacks, particularly the devastating ones, is that you'll see there's that element of laterally moving, in terms of one machine gets infected and the rest also get infected. So, and that is basically where I want to really anchor my presentation on, because the landscape has typically changed. Today, you're looking at the key drivers for even this model of looking at network security, digital transformation. You want to have an organization that's digitally led, data-driven, insight-led, and platform-enabled. And then, of course, BYOD. Your staff are basically working from anywhere, particularly now with COVID. Work stopped to be places that you go to, but it's more of what you do. And then, of course, the pain points, like I mentioned, having a flat architecture. If for you to get access, maybe you're given at a single point, then if you were given that access, then you can literally access anything. There is nothing new under the sun. The image that I showed you of that castle, we used to have the Greeks who used to send what we now know as a Trojan horse, right? And this was a human, not really a human, a wooden horse that ideally had Greek soldiers inside. So they would give it to the king as a gift, but inside that Trojan horse, that monument, you had these soldiers who are waiting for nightfall, and then they would attack, okay? The same thing is happening, because once you give people access, you don't know if this is really a trusted entity. So at the point of where you're giving them access, basically they're good. But even when you're looking at even the insider threats, and now we're talking also about people, is the people that you trust the most of the times, particularly, they become a very good point of some of these attacks. And then, of course, top influencers, we have now vendors and thought leaders and even security leaders who are now giving thoughts and models, and frameworks as well, to this new paradigm, all right? And then, of course, not to forget hyperscale cloud environments, which has really, really gained momentum. So my definition, and I'm sorry, apologies, that is a bit wordy, but zero trust basically is not really a tool, but it's an approach. It's a thinking, it's a paradigm. It's a model of which you build your infrastructure to enable some of these key principles, because the key area and the key thing is basically to always verify. There is nothing as once trusted, always trusted. There's a time we did an experiment, and what we did is, it's called a rubber ducky attack. So you put a payload in like 100 USB flashes, and then in those USB sticks, we went to the car park, and we actually just threw them around. Now, what is the most natural thing for any person to do once they get a USB stick? They'll plug it in, right? Exactly. And this was basically a very big bank. So we had most of the people that ideally collected those USBs, we distributed them around. They still did the same. So at an endpoint level, you might be focusing on the firewalls and everything, but your enemy sometimes, oblivious to the fact, they might actually come from within. So when we talk about zero trust, is basically just looking at how then can we not have anyone, we're always suspicious, in terms of let's always verify for any entity, known or unknown. And that is basically the principle in zero trust. And the outcomes basically is, number one, it simplifies everything. Anyone can basically have access to your environment. You'll have an instance where maybe you need to scale up your teams. If you're dealing with RMs, you need new people to be able to plug in. So, and then, of course, it also improves the user experience, and which is an obvious gain, as well as simplifying the security operations. So, the future, and this is a very bold statement, and based on research, because Gartner have been doing a lot of publications on this. And right now, as we talk, they're actually saying that even VPN will slowly fade away. By the year 2020, the projection is that you'll have 60% of organizations going to now zero trust network access. So that means, as opposed to the traditional VPN, this is ideally going to change. And then it's really going to be more efficient, more effective, and your users are really going to be able to access your environments efficiently and with ease. So it enables secure, fast, and easy experiences from anywhere. People can work even in remote places. It's going to also help you to predict and plan defenses in real time. Again, user profiling. For instance, I cannot be in Mombasa, and like the example my dear friend Joe mentioned earlier, and still log in from a place like South Africa, right? It doesn't make sense. So there has to be that level of correlation of data in real time so that people can basically be able to respond. And then, of course, strategic enabling of the business. Now the business needs to grow. We've moved from where security basically is a bolt-on to now we're saying that, this is something that you have to have by design. Your security should be infused by design, not really something that comes afterwards. And then, of course, digitization, insight-driven data, orchestration is at the heart of zero trust approach because you're able now to get data from your devices. For instance, if you're connecting with your iPad, it should be able to detect and look at the profile in terms of, the security posturing. How is it? Is it patched? Is it updated? Do you have any inherent vulnerabilities before it gives you access to the environment? And then, of course, the typical scenarios that we'd have here is, number one, you need to be able now to enable even the DevOps team to be able just to work efficiently. And I don't know where George Njuguna is, but in the conversation they were having yesterday, some of the things and the workloads that even your DevOps ideally would be working on, you'd find that they're sensitive in nature. You don't want anyone to be able to access it. Number two, remote workers. It's also a very growing phenomenon because now we'll have more people working remotely. You need to enable your end users. You need to have visibility into these environments, both on cloud and also on-prem. You also need to have a seamless experience. Now, there's a joke someone made that in Nairobi, we have a zero trust approach to life, right? That you never trust anyone, right? Kanairo, yeah? So again, similar thing, always verify. You want to make sure, my network as it is, we have the right entities coming into place. We have the right people ideally accessing the environment. So what are the benefits of this? The first one is you are not going to have the silos because anyone can access anything anywhere, but again, security is still at the heart of it. And then, of course, it all reduces your capital expenditure. I was reading a report that 31%, a zero trust approach will reduce your IT costs by 31%. And it also reduces your, risks, IT-related risks by 37%. And that's by Forrester, right? I totally agree. Because why? You're able also now to look at this different layer of technology. And let me just remind you, that when you talk about zero trust, it's not really a tool, yeah? Very technical, different vendors have a view, but it's really an approach and a model that you need to build upon. The tools only come to enable it, okay? Are we together up to that point? To go, is anyone sleeping in my class? All right, so stick with me, all right? So, yeah, and then, of course, obvious misnomers. In terms of what zero trust is, and it's not. Again, we said it's all about verification. We will trust you, yes, but are we sure you are the person? Are you sure? Are we sure this is a device that's supposed to be connecting, all right? So it's not about trusting no one only, but it's also about verifying. And then, of course, it's not a next generation perimeter. I have a thing that I always flag whenever. And I know as vendors, sometimes we have this habit. We want to show that this is the next generational thing. We have to be very careful because, I don't know, I've sat with different organizations and I've seen, particularly even as CIOs, and it's good we understand this, particularly when something doesn't work, but you really sold it as the next gen tool, then how do you explain yourself afterwards? It puts you in a very precarious position. Do you agree? Excellent. So those are some of the words that sometimes I always say, let's use with caution. It's also not VPN modernization, and it's definitely not an off-the-shelf product. That's a big misnomer because, again, It's not a tool and it's not a silver bullet approach. It's something that you build upon. It's something that you do over time using different tools and different approaches as well. And then it's not an IT-only project. Of course, the business has to work together. You need the business to guide you in terms of, what kind of apps, what kind of information do our people, particularly the ones that are accessing it remotely, need to have, so that you're able to apply the right and effective, security policies. And then, of course, it's not eliminating your intranet. But what it is, it's a business enabler. It's an architectural and a principle, basically driven by certain tenets. And then, of course, there will no, in terms of security-wise, there will not be a difference between the internet and the intranet. You'd be able to access, for instance, all your company resources seamlessly. You don't have to go through, on the front end, it's going to be seamless, but on the back end, the security is now enshrined. And then, of course, it reduces complexity, combines processes and technology, as well as giving your users a unified experience. Now, the principles to this framework, and I think I'm wrapping up, is the first thing is that perimeterless design. It has to be, and recall my earlier illustration, that when you have that castle-like approach to security, ideally it's only dependent on, you have a single point of entry, you have a single point of exit. That is going to be blurred because why? A perimeter design will also, perimeterless design gives you, a seamless experience where you don't really have to go through one point, but it's actually enshrined on the back end. And then, of course, context aware. It has to understand your devices. You need to get data. So some of these tools, and it's amazing, even VMware, they have amazing stack of solutions, and we're having a chat with Evelyn, that it's a combination of different tools. You need to look at your environment and really assess what is the need there. And I always say, have a TOM, a target operating model. What is your picture of success? Because once you start plugging in the tools, then ideally it's coming into rhythm, right? So, and then of course, dynamic access controls, and particularly where we're talking about some of this authorization, authentication level controls, it's very important. And then continuous assessment. So like we said earlier, you're not really trusting anyone. So you have to continuously assess and basically look at, are you at the right state, or have we lost trust, particularly from an endpoint and people point of view, and then fine-grained segmentation, or otherwise called as micro-segmentation. This is particularly very important because when you're able to create at a very granular level those trust zones so that you can avoid things like lateral movements, particularly of some of those, like I mentioned, ransomware, or even people who are trying to attack you. So it also enables that. And at the heart of it, Zero Trust is all about that. Risk analysis, data you'll be getting to also be able just to do your risk analysis, and then you're able also to review the trust and monitor continuously. So that is a framework. I don't want to go into it in the interest of time, but basically just brings everything that I've mentioned together. Remember, this is not a tool, it's an approach. The tools just come to enable that approach. So you look at orchestration and automation. How do you get this data to correlate it to a level where it's going to give you meaningful insight? And then at the different layers, at the network layer, identity layer, which is also pegged to your devices, and also workload, particularly looking at cloud environments, as well as data. And this is where we look at things to do with classification, encryption, and obfuscation, as well as data flows. How does data move in and out of the environment, all right? So, and visibility and analytics, data is at the heart of this thing. So ladies and gentlemen, I don't think I have much to say, but just to end my presentation, these are the key subtle ways. I think my punch PPT, my punch page, if I may call it that number one, you need to have network micro-segmentation. We need to do the segmentations at a very granular level so that we have those trusted nodes. And then you make it easier for lateral movement, or, and you're able also to contain attack when it's happening. Because we've said that as an industry, we've moved from just cybersecurity to now cyber resilience. And what is cyber resilience? The ability to withstand an attack. Because when you're hacked, always take the position as an organization that one day this thing will happen. But when it does happen, what are you going to do after that? How can you contain and control an attack. And then, of course, SDP, have people access things on a need-to-know basis, limit access, and so on and so forth. And lastly, proxy, which we call trust brokers. Before anyone accesses a resource, should ideally be able to pass through a broker. So again, that's my time. I hope this is insightful. We are happy to always share a lot of knowledge. Please visit KPMG site. We have a report that we recently released. It's called a CIO Outlook report. So we wanted to understand what keeps, particularly in East Africa, our CEOs up at night. So if you're a technologist and if you're, you want to advise businesses and also you want to understand what is the landscape from a CEO lens perspective, that report will definitely be insightful to you. Thank you very much and enjoy your dinner. Bye.
The making of the CEO magazine, content creation, Carol, take one.
Showcases the abilities women take.
Everyone just say the question and then. When? Okay.
Ha, staying alive.
I knew I wanted to be an editorial, or rather be a magazine editor. When I first saw True Love magazine on the street, and I knew that that's exactly what I wanted to do when I grew up.
It's something that grew in me since I was young. My father used to buy newspapers and I used to read them. Well, it's something that I pursued intentionally.
I have always wanted to tell people about things that they do not know. I always wanted to be the one who passes one message or another to the general public. So that's something that I've always wanted to do ever since when I was a young boy. So I can't really put a date or year to it.
I knew I wanted to be a journalist from a very young age. It was more of a passion. I got inspired by news anchors, the likes of Victoria Rubadiri, and journalism is a bit wide. I liked the fact that it informed people. It brought people together to a specific content that I, as a journalist, will execute and bring it to them.
When I knew I wanted to be in digital and marketing, it came to me too. Started out as tech support. So yeah, I gravitated a lot towards marketing, and I just found myself there.
I think I found myself in sales, mostly because I am a people person. I'm very passionate about people and brands, so sales helps me engage more with people.
I knew when I was very young, I used to draw a lot. I've always seen my uncles and cousins draw, so I kind of fell into the whole idea then, and I've loved it ever since.
I would have been a lawyer if not a journalist.
I think I would have become a professional hockey player if hockey was serious in Kenya.
To be working in the security industry as a DCI.
If I was not a writer, I would be a lawyer because I trained for it and I would be spectacular at it.
I would have been a basketball player, hopefully.
I probably would be a teacher.
My favorite issue would be the Alex Karanja issue from Naivas. Like I said, I really enjoyed that interview, and I think if you're watching this, you should maybe go and check out that issue and read the copy. I think the whole issue was done well with my colleagues as well. And then an honorable mention will be Betty Mwangi when she was at Jumia. It was my first cover story as CIO, and I think I was only like 3 months old at CIO Africa.
The November issue that featured 45 women, influential women in tech.
The January 2023 issue, which was for the CIO of the year, because relatively it was one of the most, the issues that did so well for us in terms of marketing and whatnot. And it was also a very interesting issue to read also.
I don't have any particular issue because every issue comes with its new challenges and something to learn on. it's just a continuous improvement on other subsequent issues.
If I were to interview any tech leader, dead or alive, it would be Bill Gates. I would like to write a tell-all book, but not just based on tech or how he became the richest man, but all the controversies that he has been involved in, the scandals that have covered his life. I would like to get his own personal account in his own words.
What I like about selling the CIO Africa magazine is the fact that I'm able to interact with people and brands to position their organizations in a tangible platform. I like to consider the CIO Africa magazine as a tangible, transformative platform for organizations and brands.
The hardest part about marketing the CIO Africa magazine in particular is just trying to the reading culture for people has really deteriorated over the years. So just trying to promote the reading culture, and of course we have amazing content in there. So just trying to highlight some of the amazing stories that we cover every month in the magazine.
If I was to give a TED talk about selling magazine advertisement, number one is make sure that you understand what the organization's dynamics are, because advertising in print is dynamic and also it's different. So it's a niche by itself. So you really have to understand the brand and its goals for you to align the organization and yourself with it.
Every magazine theme is decided by events, by the events calendar, and by the trends that are happening in the tech industry. So what informs it would be tech trends, surveys, reports, and this CIO100 survey.
I choose it by going through a lot of online stuff. I go through Pinterest, I look through what people are doing. I pick a few ideas from everything and then kind of mash it up to make it my own design. So online, I usually go online a lot to kind of research my designs.
We follow a content calendar. So every month we know who to interview and the topics to cover. We usually adjust the calendar based on new developments in the field.
If CIO Africa hosted a dinner party, I would invite Sheryl Sandberg, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk definitely, Phyllis Migwi, Catherine Muraga, all the CIO100 winners.
Right now, I think I love to maybe invite Phyllis Migwi. She's a good conversationist. I think it will be a good experience going with her. There's also Tomboy Opio. These are also Kenyan. He's also a good conversationist. I've chatted with him a couple of times in a number of events. To go globally, if he would accept Elon Musk, but he doesn't know me, so I don't think he will. There's Mark Zuckerberg, who I believe maybe I can get a chance to interview down the line. Sophia, there's a lady I once interviewed. She was called Sophia Alj. She's the founder and COO at Chari. Chari is a B2B e-commerce startup based in Morocco.
If I was to come up with a slogan for the CIO Africa magazine on the spot, it will have to be something like MAGA, which is for make Africa magazines great again, which is MAGA for MAGA, like Trump.
A theme song for the magazine, it would probably be I Know I Can Be Where I Wanna Be. The reason for that is because CIO Africa magazine and also other CIO Africa products, it gives you the hope that you can make it big, you know, in the tech space, especially in Africa. So that would be my song.
We Are the World by almost all stars, the Michael Jackson, Lionel Richie, that version. We are the world, we are the chill, because it's a revolutionary song, and I think what we do here is something that is revolutionary, and I think that song will help, will bring that message clearer.
Ha, 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 staying alive, staying alive.
Tupac, All Eyes on Me.
All I Do Is Win by DJ Khaled.
Previously on CIO100. For 16 seasons, we have celebrated Africa's boldest in technology. 16 years, one stage. Now, season 17. The saga continues. The Oscars of Tech, the event that shuts down the year. Africa's ultimate gathering of technology leaders. 500 plus attendees, 50 plus partners, hundreds of winners. 3 epic days. Speakers from across Africa, delegates from every corner of the continent. Powerful conversations that shape the future of technology. This November, 3 days, one destination. Inashipai, Naivasha. CIO100 Symposium and Awards 2025. Season 17. Register now. Partner with us. Be part of history.
Very sober compared to George.
Ahmed, please.
Shots fired.
And I actually stand right in the middle of this discussion because I support both sides, which I don't know why Ali intentionally put me here. There was a tweet I tweeted about Microsoft, which we'll discuss later, and that answers what Ali was saying in terms of my personality. I'm a different person online. If you know me in person and you know me online, you'll hate me. But speaking out my mind, speaking my mind, I think based on the question that Ali has asked, for me, Ali, I stand right in the middle because I'm a victim, just like you. From a startup where you've invested in a team, knowing that you've put up a team, invested in training, not necessarily on the tech side, because I don't just see tech as a startup only that we have. It's literally any industry today, but I see it as human beings behind whatever idea or solutions that we're providing, that we've invested in, and you see them go because they've been approached with a 2 to 3 to 4 times more package. The reason why I'm in between is because I'm against that, but I'm also for that, considering that talent needs to be valued, talent needs to be appreciated, and we need to raise the standards that we have in this country for people who give their best in what they do. So I'm actually one of the guys who would be in that line where it depends where it falls easy for me.
So basically, it pains you, yet somehow you understand.
You see, if I had the money to pay the same guys who left for 4 times and sacrifice the company's long-term goals, I would pay. But then the company would suffer. But then you look back, if you can set up a team and start from small and work with a young team that is eager to grow what you have, there's a solution. You just let whoever has to go.
Thank you, Ahmed. I'll come back to you. Cecilia, I'll jump you for now because I think yours will sort of come a little bit later and talk about both sides. So yours is, from a purely HR headhunting perspective. So allow me to jump you for a minute. And Faris, I think you've had a very interesting checkered career in this space. And you have some very strong views about this. As an entrepreneur, as somebody who has been employed before, as somebody who's employed. Please tell us a little bit first about yourself, just in case guys don't know you, and then jump straight into this conversation. Over to you, Faris.
Okay, thank you. I'll be a bit, I'll take a bit of a winded path, but
please do.
I'll make my point. No, I've been in the cloud space for, I think now this is 16 years since I started tinkering with virtualization. And so I've been around the block. I've worked for a bootstrapped startup that didn't pay me, worked for another one that paid me, went to work for a multinational. I spent 3 years there. Started my own company. One was a funded startup, the other one wasn't. They both ended in very interesting situations. My exit, at least, was very interesting, which is, as Harry was indicating, a story for another day. The thing is, the philosophical path I'm taking is migration is normal to human beings. Before, if you were in an oppressive environment, you walked away. The nation state is a very recent creation. So the nation state creates this impression in our heads that it is natural to have a monopoly on people, which has never existed. So before slavery and all of this, like when you look at the Bantu migration and all these stories you were told in GHC or depending on your age, like you'd just be in a place you're not being paid well.
Sorry to interrupt you, Faris. So for those of you who may not understand what Faris has just said, GHC stands for Geography, History, and Civics. Tuko pamoja? Kuna siari hapo.
But the point I'm making is, for a very long time, if you worked in somebody's farm and the person didn't pay you well, you just moved. You migrated and you left. What's changed? Like now for you to go to the US, if you've got a certain skill, you need a visa. So if you look at Kenya, the right term for Kenya is a gross waste of human capital, because our students are busy doing PhD theses for students in the UK, in the US. We don't have a shortage of talent. It's just that we physically can't move to the US anymore. But there was a time when you could. Now, our local startups are complaining because they've been taking advantage of this arbitrage, so you can get skills for less. And as an entrepreneur, I have very little empathy for the entrepreneurs. Because I remember a time when there was a Land Rover Discovery phase amongst entrepreneurs in Nairobi. And all of them will buy Land Rover Discoveries from the showroom, etc., as their employees were being denied like basic. There was one in particular, some of you might figure out who this is, who bought a brand new Land Rover Discovery as he was suing an employee for $3,000 worth of training.
Oh, God.
Come on, as in the vehicle is 16 million shillings, but you're complaining when somebody else comes in. And so this is not the first time we're having talent wars in Kenya. If you came to Kenya in the late 90s, early 90s, IBM and Microsoft and HP came and hoovered up sales talents. That was like the first war. When the system integrators were paying sales guys very low salaries, the multinationals came and paid global salaries, and they hoovered up all the sales guys. The complaint came. All that happened is local companies increased their salaries. Same thing happened when the multinationals, the Nokia Siemens of the world, came into this market. Access Kenya in particular really suffered because all the talent was hoovered out. And people would, I think it was a case of somebody like leaving the laptop on their desk and just not even sending a resignation letter. Like this is natural. Like this talent was unnatural, and this is just another sector where it started. So if you look at it purely from your own sector because you're feeling the pain, like pick a number, like it's happened before. The fundamental problem is any startup is in a business. And if you're a software engineering company, your input, like electricity, is labor. The government controls the price of fuel. You cannot say that I run a trucking company, thus therefore the government should make sure I buy diesel at 60 shillings. That's not how it works. Diesel is 110 shillings. As a business person, if you're this smart, diesel is 110 shillings. Figure out how to make a profit with the cost as it is. because that's the cost of labor. We've taken a lot of time and we underprice and gaslight our employees that they're not good enough, but they are. All that has changed is that somebody else has come in and said, the skill you have is worth more. A CCIE in Kenya, Cisco Certified Internet Expert, is worth, let's say, $200,000 a year globally. The ISP or telco paying them in Kenya is getting that value from them, but they want a discount. Why? If that particular customer, let's say I am buying from this same company. If, let's say this company sells a CRM system. If I go to them and say, oh, you know, I'm a Kenyan company, I cannot afford to pay you $40 per seat per month, they'll tell me to go to hell. Why should the employee make a sacrifice because they cannot figure out their pricing structure? Ultimately, the entrepreneur has got a lot of leverage. If you cannot afford to pay them, Kenya Data Network, Safaricom, a bunch of companies, including Equity, have pioneered employee share ownership plans. Give them a share in your company. If you cannot, and I find the arguments that people have developed the talent to be particularly immoral, simply because your high school does not ask for your salary.
Faris, Faris,
yeah.
I'll stop you there.
Yeah. But anyway, I have
think
very strong views on this.
I can see that you do. We'll come back to you on that. But you have really set the stage for my next panelist, John Njuguna. For those who may not know George, he's ICT Director at Safaricom. Now, allow me to say something on your behalf.
Have we discussed this?
So I am asking you, tafadhali, allow me to say one thing on your behalf.
Tuongee offline, nijue nini unasema.
Tuongee offline.
Unaweza kuwa unasema jambo ambalo...
No. Okay. I'm saying good things.
Okay, sawa.
So, in our conversations with George has complained to me.
You know, those are not good things.
George has complained to me like, dude, we spend so much money developing talent. That we can agree on, right? As far as the Safaricom is concerned.
Hiyo show yangu. Allow me to talk, eh? Faraj, sikiza. Ngoja, show yangu hakuwa anaelewa Kizungu au Kiswahili, but alikuwa anaelewa hiyo Rich Also Cry. So usitaje hiyo show. It's very emotional for me because my show is deceased. Na hiyo ndio tu show alielewa, alikuwa anaambia sijui Andreo ama nani.
You know, these South American, these days, these soap operas, they are South American, they are Turkish, they are sijui what, but those days, the one that hit
Antonio. Nimekumbuka ni Antonio.
The rich
alikuwa my show ni Antonio.
Cry. Yani that program was so hot until wanawake wa Mombasa walitoa kanga. Mwanaume ni Antonio too. I'm serious. Anyway, George, over to you.
Yeah.
At Safaricom, you need talent every day. In fact, I'm sure you don't have enough talent today. How are you navigating this conversation today?
Thank you, Ali and team. You know, I want to speak from three perspectives. Yes. I think one is from a wounded employer. The second is from a developer, because I am a developer. I'm a .NET developer at core. The third one is from an industry leader. So first of all, from an employer, in the last, I checked with my team, 5-6 months, I've lost 22 proper talent people to a company that uses red, green, and blue. I don't need to mention them.
Just mention the name. We are here. It is Kahawatungu. It is Talent Wars. Mention the name.
Kahawatungu will mention. So, my perspective is this, that we onboard a lot of people, and today I was listening to a story of a network engineer who all this engineer knew was network.
They went into a Safaricom Digital Academy. They learned how to do UX, DevOps, security, and now they are one of the leading engineers in that level. What does that mean? Safaricom has a digital academy that we run with Strathmore and Moringa, and we actually take people from what we believe were kind of standard legacy technologies and train them in DevOps, cybersec, and such skills. Now, a player comes in the market and decides, this engineer who you've developed, it's easy for me to actually just take them. Now, what I've learned over time is that once they take any member of your staff, they pay them $3,000 to identify another member of staff from your organization. Now, if I look at this, there is a positive and a negative side, Ali. The positive side is the company where that developer worked. If some of us have been pushing for developers to be appreciated, recognized, and rewarded based on their contribution, you now have a case to actually make that happen. The negative side of it is this. You actually walk into this situation, pay them double, but you as an organization, you've not trained, you've not taken this developer, yet there are so many unemployed Kenyans who actually want to be hired as developers. Why not go and hire them, develop them, and bring them into your company? You are a multinational who has millions and billions of dollars. Why become so lazy, so inconsistent, so inconsiderate, and take a developer who has been developed by another organization and decide that you and your lazy HR, the easiest thing you can do is take somebody who somebody else has developed from being a telco engineer who is managing a base station. You bring them to become a DevOps engineer and decide lazily it's easy for you to hire them. Then, to make it worse, you decide, I'm going to pay you $3,000. How much is $3,000? Currently, at the exchange rate, it's probably 350,000 to 400,000 shillings to bring another talent. So I've lost, in the last 5-6 months, 22 developers to this organization.
One organization?
One organization. And my point is this: if you are really honest, diligent, and genuine about developing the industry, can we work together? Because there are so many unemployed, and I had it in your panel earlier. There are too many unemployed Kenyans.
How do you work together, George?
You know, this is what I'm saying. There are enough unemployed Kenyans that you can enter into the type of program that we have, develop these engineers, train them, move them up, and then they can become talent for the industry. So that's me talking as a wounded employer. The second thing is, what I like about this, it has forced a conversation between me and HR where we're saying, you know what, our developers are not entry level. Our developers are not standard. Our developers need to be looked at, and we started working on something we're calling the contribution model. How good are you? We talk about T-shaped skills. Think about a T. You might be deep in one level, but you're actually good in some other things. So what does that mean? I'm a front-end developer, but I can only...
Are we together, guys? T-shaped level. Nego.
Huh? A. So I'm a front-end developer T, down, but I'm also a back-end. I have a bit of data science. I can do a bit of back-end. I can also do a bit more on integration. I'm not one-sided. So how do I reward you differently than other people? And how do I push you? Because Safaricom, for free, offers development for engineers. You can become the best and greatest at anything. So how do I reward you? Because you've worked hard. There's another guy, okay, not Ali, let's call him Ali Salim, who wants to take Ahmed, yes, Ahmed. Ahmed's a good example because he dissed me. He wants to take our Tungu all day and swim in the pool, but Ali wants to go to class, madrasa and everything. So how do I reward Ali, who is actually working hard to become a good back-end developer, and his T is becoming way better, as opposed to somebody who just wants to remain at their space and do something different. The third thing I want to say, now as an industry leader, is this. I may move from Safaricom to another organization or whatever, but I'm very passionate about the development of Kenyans, and so many Kenyans are unemployed. And I think what we should do and think about is how do we develop talent from the grassroots? It doesn't matter whether they're going to work for Safaricom or Microsoft or Little or whichever organization, but all of us need to be concerned about the Kenyan who's unemployed, who is busy doing stuff that probably is trying to hack me. Every day I'm sent a message like, this guy has done a heist on your system and you need to catch him. And I think we need to be concerned about that, and as an industry work together towards creating employment for the Kenyans who are deeply digitally talented. They're looking for opportunities, training, as well as a door to be opened for them, and make Kenya the Silicon Savannah. Because when I was last week in Silicon Valley, and you look at that entire space, everybody in that space is actually earning a living. But here we are fighting about 1,000, I have 500 developers, Microsoft has 400, there's 1 million unemployed people. Why are we fighting about 1,000 people, yet we could make a case to hire 1 million?
George, thank you so much. I'll stop you there. I feel your passion, and I have so much to respond to. I'm sure you guys are waiting to, you know, to give back and to respond to. I want to go to Kamal. Kamal called me a few weeks back and told me, I want to be on that panel. I'm very passionate about this issue. Nikamwambia, kuja my brother. Let's talk. Kamal, over to you.
Thank you, Ali. So I want to share two things actually before we get into the deeper discussion, and that actually happened to me, and I think that has molded me in the way I run my companies. So two things happened. Couple of years back, there is a lady called, I'm not going to tell her the full name, but you can figure it out. There was a lady called Marisa. She called me from the US and says, yeah, we have been tracking you for a while now. You are doing wonderful things into the mobile space. You are doing wonderful things in blah, 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 whatever. And she knew I was the founder of a company. So pull out a founder obviously is very difficult. She still calls me and says, okay, it started with email and LinkedIn, but then actually came into the call. And she says, look, we feel that you can head one of the fastest growing department that she was managing. And even before I say, she said, we know how much Craft Silicon is, what you do in terms of business. I'm willing to give you 10 times to what you are doing as just a joining fee, plus your salary is going to be this much per month, plus blah, 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 all that. So
she tried to acqui-hire you, basically.
Yes.
Acquire the companies so that she can get you. Wow.
Obviously, I was very passionate about it, and the amount of money that was offered to me, honestly, swear to God, it was something that anyone would have picked it up. I didn't do that. I think at some point when you are a founder and you are passionate and you love what you do, sometimes you don't always look at the money. So that offer, obviously internally in my family, it was a mess for me, because I really had to convince everyone who loved me dearly and says, there is an opportunity here and the life could completely change, blah, 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 all that. But I was there, I said, look, I'm not going to do that. And I had to literally tell her no. And she, obviously from the tone of the voice and the tone of the email that came in, she was literally surprised at me declining that offer. That was the one case that actually helped me, and I'll tell you then how I run the company at some point in this conversation. The second point that happened is at some point when Kraft was about, I think we were about 15 or 16 people, and we got one good bank in this country. They wanted to computerize us to provide them the co-banking product, and everything was working out, and we were running right tight on the schedule. Just about, I think, 2-3 weeks before the bank was going live. From that 15 people at a go, I got 10 resignations. At a go, 10 resignations. And obviously, it was extremely difficult. But these two incidences actually made me start thinking on how you should be handling the talents. And that I think I will share as the discussion goes on some of the things that we do. We have not been obviously 100% successful in what we do in retaining the talents, but I think these two experiences help me to mold certain things on how I interact with the people who work with me.
Kamal, thank you. Kamal, thank you so much. That is an awesome introduction. Cecilia, let's sort of bring it all together from an HR perspective. And then I'll open it up for conversations before I make my statements in response to what my panelists have said. You've heard everyone. Bring it into perspective for us.
So from where I sit and I look at both angles, from the employer side,
Sorry, just put it closer.
From the employer side and from the employee side. And when I hear the talent wars that are going on, I have the privilege of having very intimate conversations with the employer, and they tell us the challenges that they're facing when they're trying to identify talent. If it's startup organizations, for example, they maybe don't have the resources to go out and hire very expensive talent, or if it's the big tech who, for example, have the resources, they're not able to sometimes identify the talent for a number of reasons. And I think in all this, what people forget is the greatest asset in any organization are the people. And if you lose sight of that, it's not about the revenue that you're chasing, it's not about the products that you're developing, but it's the people that are helping you achieve your agenda. I also feel that this war is not necessarily a big tech versus small tech war. I think, and especially with COVID coming into play last year, we have seen that organizations have really started embracing technology to be able to drive their businesses forward. So it's all sectors that are being affected by the talent, the need for talent. So if it's insurance, if it's hospitality, you name it. So it's not just the traditional tech organizations that are in this fight for talent. The real problem, I feel the big tech versus small tech is almost like a knee-jerk reaction, but the real talent is that there's not enough tech skills in the community. And what are we doing about the bigger picture?
So that's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line. It's not big tech, small tech. It's the tech skills are lacking, they are scarce, and because they are scarce, everybody is fighting for that talent. So the solution to the tech skills being increased is what will ultimately, in the long run, end these wars that you're talking about. There are a number of things that, if you'll allow me to just very quickly run through them.
Proceed.
From an organization perspective, I started off by saying that people are your greatest asset in any organization. If you do not engage in the right hiring process to identify the talent, you've already lost the identification of talent. Why? You need to know your organizational values, you need to know your organizational culture, and then you go out and find talent that is aligned to your own values. Otherwise,
what Kamal was sort of alluding to, and we'll really come back to you on that, Kamal.
Yes. So you have to be very clear on what your culture and your organizational values are, and identify talent that align with that. That's number one. Number two, you have to appreciate that you don't pay talent by compensation only. So when I hear companies complaining that talent is moving for 3 times the salary, they completely miss it, because it's other things that employees are looking for. The employees are not being heard in this conversation. It's just the employers who are, fighting it out by themselves. But employees want to work in organizations that they feel respected, they have ownership of the work that they're doing, the projects that they're doing. They are being trained and developed and empowered to become bigger and better than they are. So yes, they're taking home a salary, but what else am I taking from that organization other than the salary? So compensation is in 2 ways. It's in the basic pay that you're paying, but it's in also how you're developing that talent. HR practitioners sometimes miss it when it's identifying talent. They don't develop sustainable talent pools to be able to drive the organization forward. So
sustainable talent pools.
Yes, sustainable talent pools. So we have to look at this war from a bird's eye view and not tunnel vision. We're not just looking at now, we're looking at this is where we want to take the organization forward. How do we ensure that we prepare ourselves as an organization to get us to that destination through the people who are the greatest asset? So it's ensuring that our culture is right, ensuring that our values are right, ensuring that we're training and developing our talent right, ensuring that we are also, one of the things that I feel gets really ignored and is important in developing talent pools is internship programs. Organizations in Kenya sometimes feel like offering internships, they're doing interns a favor. It's not a favor you're giving them. It's a strategic move to ensure that your talent pool is actually trained and developed and is consistent. You also have to invest in retention strategies to make sure that, yes, you've gone out, you've hired people that are aligned to your values, but how do you retain them over and above paying them the 3 times the salary for them to cross over? You have to have sustainable strategies. And of course now with the, whole flexi work, opportunities for, you can come to work on this day and not on the other. Those are some of the things that employees are looking for, yet they're not being heard in this conversation. If you look at the tech environment, it changes constantly, all the time. How are we as organizations really ensuring that we're attracting, and not necessarily the skilled people, but how are we ensuring that the market is giving us what we want? And here I want to pose a challenge to organizations, employers. What are they doing to ensure that the quality of talent that is coming out of our tertiary institutions, our universities, is actually right for them as an organization? Are they going out to campuses? Are they going out even to government and telling them, these are the skills that we need. We're happy to work with you to develop curricula that will, because it takes time to develop talent. Don't think that you'll wake up one day, yes, there are the short courses that you'll do, but sometime real core talent takes time, maybe 2 years, 3 years. So how do we partner with institutions of learning to ensure that we are supporting, as George was talking about, it's not just about the 1,000 people, it's about the millions of youth that are in Kenya. If you look at Africa, the average youth is 19. What are we doing to ensure that those young people are actually positioned for work in the future? And then when you talk about diversity, because it's now a big agenda in the employment circles, as Kelly was discussing on her talk this afternoon, and I completely resonated with her,
We missed that talk. Could you?
So it's employers really focusing on specific skill sets that, so say for example, you say, I'm looking for a software developer and I want them to come from this background, I want them to have this qualification, I want them to have this number of years of experience. But what are we doing to the people who have the character, the values, who have the potential to be able to be groomed into those skills? What are we doing about them? We're sending out job descriptions that that do not address the wider market. So it's really not just looking at the skills that you would desire to have, but looking at diversity from a perspective of the potential. So it's not just they need to have this qualification, they need to have this number of years of experience, but organizations need to set up tools to be able to assess the capabilities and the characters of this potential talent. I know for a fact that there are some organizations who are doing very well in, like, the interview process is not necessarily how many years of experience that you have, but you're taken through assessments that somewhat want to see how you think in certain situations, and based on that they're like, you know what, this one, if we put him in a certain environment, they will thrive. Why don't we give them that opportunity? We have to be willing to give the lesser qualified people opportunities to grow.
Cecilia, thank you so much. Now you see why I wanted you to speak last as your opening statement. Gosh, there is so much here. I want to open it up for conversations now from my audience. Do we have mics around for the audience? Who wants to go first? So here's what's going to happen. You stand, introduce yourself. You have a minute to make a comment or question. After a minute, I'm going to interrupt you. Are we okay with that? Who wants to go first? Gentleman from the back. And if you're asking a question from any one of my panelists in particular, you can mention their names, or if it's general, you can just say general.
Thank you. My name is Dennis. I'm from Eldama Technologies. Can you hear me? Good. I'm just looking at the panel here, and I'm thinking we're approaching it from a wrong angle from the talent tours. We are missing a very vital partner in this journey. Number one, we are a capitalist nation, right? So when you talk about talent wars, the best man wins. That's the way I look at it. But now the question comes in. There's someone missing here, regulator. We don't have the regulator within us. By regulator, I mean someone who can tell us, listen, we are going over and above what we're supposed to do in terms of talent wars, as in the best man win. But this is where we need to stop, where we need to toe the line. That's my question, because I'm listening to you. Listen, someone, you've developed this talent for a period of time. But then there comes a person who gives that person more money, more time, right? More benefits. That's my only concern, because I'm listening to all of you. You're looking at it from one angle, where you're coming from.
So you want a regulator.
That's what we're looking at.
To be the referee here.
We need a referee here.
We need a referee.
Exactly.
Ile maneno ya Kenya, serikali saidia.
No, si serikali saidia. Listen, it's simple. You've worked so hard to develop a talent to your own goal and vision. She talked about yeah?
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Me, I'm going to unleash Faris on you here.
I feel very strongly about this topic, by the way. And it's primarily because I'll use an example of Microsoft. Steve Ballmer is a billionaire because Microsoft couldn't afford to pay him his commission, so they gave him stock. You can always find a way to pay somebody. When you have these talents that you've developed, you're getting that talent at a discount. You're not making the person. You don't own them. Like, the reason why somebody else can come and poach them is because there's a delta between what you're paying them and what they're worth. That delta is the discount you're getting for developing them. And I'm saying this as somebody who was grossly underpaid. And one of my employers told me they made me. It was a very demeaning thing. But the thing is, at the end of the day, you're getting a discount, and your employee is sacrificing with their life, which they have one of. They won't be able to go to a good doctor. They won't take their kids to a good school. Your kid will not go to, like, if you have a kid and you're not being paid well, ECD for them is gone. You'll take them to the local neighborhood nursery. Like, you're not, like, there's one life for the dev. The dev sells their service to one person, the employer, and it is moral for them to look for the highest person to reward them for the short time they have on this planet. That's a very fair ask.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, I've seen many hands, but allow me to introduce my special guest tonight. He must say something. He had refused, nikamwomba tafadhali ongea, because there have been some shots fired here towards him. Mr. Jack Ngari, Microsoft Africa Development Center CEO. Mike to Jack. Jack, please, karibu. First, thank you so much. I know for you to talk today, it has taken a lot. Jack, so please, say something.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's... First of all, I think, George, you need therapy. You know? Let's talk about this later. Yeah, but you know,
we can go for a joint session.
No, man, I don't go that way.
Wow. This is really Kawachugu today. Jack, I didn't know you had it in you.
So, yeah.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, and to be honest, you know, everyone sitting in that panel there is a customer of ours. You know, Safaricom is a massive customer of Microsoft. And so we feel them also as well whenever they complain. And we know that there's a strain on the ecosystem. But some of these things, the way we look at it, it's not that we are selfish and we just want to grow this ecosystem. The reason why some of us joined Microsoft in the first place, you know, my previous boss used to say something like this: you need to stop the scarcity mentality. Because every time we'd go to him and present a solution and would say we will grow by 1%, and all of you know him, he doesn't want to hear 1% growth. He says we want Africans to stop the scarcity mentality. If you have a program and we take 20 engineers, you know, what are we talking about, 20 engineers? Between two of the largest companies in East and Central Africa. You know, there's an opportunity there for all of us to do something to address that. And I'm not speaking as Microsoft, by the way, I'm speaking as me, because the reason why some of us left Kenya back in the 2000s was because there were no opportunities. There were none. So we left. We said we're not going to go and become a data entry clerk in Treasury, or become a teller in a bank, or go and be underpaid by a guy who wants us to do Fortran and Delphi. And then University of Nairobi tells us this is how we do punch cards. So all of a sudden, there's opportunities, and then we are casting shade on opportunities for our people. That is wrong. That is morally wrong. Okay? The inverse is true. What if Microsoft came here and underpaid our people? We would have been saying, like the way it's in DRC, with the gold companies, the diamond companies, that are underpaying people and shipping profits abroad. So which one do we want as Africans? Do you want to be underpaid? And then they go and ship everything they're selling. The markup of a cloud platform by Amazon, Microsoft, Facebook, Google is 96%. That's the markup.
What? Yeah.
The Windows, the Android devices you have on your hands, the markup is 74%. Look it up, Google it. What's the markup Google makes on Android? It's insane. So you have to choose. Do we want to underpay our people and ship the profits, or we put the money here, where not only I benefit, but my cousins, I educate everyone around me. People aspire to be an engineer like Jack, or like George, or like the rest of the panel.
Can I respond to Jack? Allow me to say something.
Absolutely.
Jack, allow me to say this.
I'm coming to you.
No, Kawatungu. No, allow me to respond.
I will come to you.
No, bro, allow me to respond.
I will come
directly.
To you.
No.
I will come to you,
bro. Nakuheshimu kama
I'm telling you, I will come to you.
I will come to you. Sasa hivi.
I will come to you, George.
I'll allow.
I will come to you. Don't worry. Jack, I hear what you're saying. And I think there are like 3-4 people here who probably want to respond to you.
Okay. Not me.
But
I'll chill first.
George,
let the other people talk.
You see, I needed George to calm down a bit, collect his thoughts, so that he can talk.
No,
George, over to you.
The other people
talk.
Thank you, Jack. By the way, those of you who don't know, Jack and I worked before.
Stanbic days.
Yeah. But I think, Jack, my view is this, that the market is big. I think Microsoft does not need to sit like an eagle or a hawk and look at what Safaricom is doing and decide to take what Safaricom has done. Jack, you spoke about over 1 million engineers who are unemployed. Microsoft has the capability to take those engineers, to train them, and to bring them into the Microsoft ecosystem. Worse off, instead of taking these engineers to build capabilities like our engineers have built Safaricom app, we are proud in the whole Vodafone family that our app has been built by Kenyans for Kenyans. It is the top app in the market store. It is the top app in the whole of Vodacom. The Safaricom app is one of the best apps. It used to be done by a vendor. Microsoft does not need to sit, unfortunately, lazily, to decide that this engineer, who somebody has developed from being a telco engineer, let Safaricom develop them, train them, everything, and not just one. My team told me in the last 4 or 5 months, Microsoft has taken 22 engineers from Safaricom. Microsoft pays these people $3,000 to refer another engineer. If Jack truly cares about the Kenya ecosystem, he would be looking for engineers who are jobless, hiring them, training them, and bring them into the ecosystem. That's the point George, I'm trying to make. George. No, allow me to complete. But with that said, allow me to complete. I still believe that engineers are valuable resources. And if any organization, including Safaricom, is underpaying talent, those engineers are free to go where they are going. But when we have, as Jack used earlier, a large amount, I think he said 800,000 or 1 million people, it is really important that we find a way as an industry.
You are contradicting yourself.
Yeah.
First you are complaining, then you are saying they are free to go. George,
I'm not saying they're free to go. I'm saying, I'm saying, skiza, nasema soko.
You've not bonded them.
Skiza, chenye nasema, kama uko na nini, zinaitwa nini, tuseme tuite avocado.
Yes.
Small avocados, big avocados.
Yes.
The point is this, wacha avocados zote ziuzwe. There is no need kuangalia zile avocado mtu mwingine amezitunza, ameziangalia.
Hebu nikuulize, wewe ukienda sokoni saizi, manake wewe umeanza kuzungumza Kiswahili sio? Ukienda sokoni ukiangalia avocado kubwa na ndogo, utachukua ipi? Tuseme kweli, mimi nikiwa na avocado kubwa hapa na hii ndogo, yote shilingi 20, utachukua ipi, ndogo au kubwa?
Ile tamu.
Angalia huyu sasa.
No, what I'm trying to say is this, Ali.
Listen,
I'm trying
George,
to say is this.
George,
as organizations, watch and Maliza. 1 second, just give me less than a minute. As organizations,
do we allow him to continue talking? All right.
What I'm trying to say is this. There's a lot of unemployed people and a lot of people who need to be employed well. We all need, as corporates, to work towards getting young Kenyans employed and not just building solutions, resolving bugs, but building things that are solving problems for Kenyans. when I listen to guys who are telling me, I went to Microsoft and all I do is resolve bugs, that is wasting talent as Kenyans. We need to actually get Kenyans building solutions that are solving problems for Kenyans and Africans.
George, Ali, George, I will disagree with you on this.
Well, sure.
What?
Why?
And then I will ask Faris to talk, and then I'll come back
Why
to this side.
Kamal? Kamal is building solutions for Kenyans. The audience is not participating.
The audience will come back. Give me 2 minutes, guys.
I'll say something. There's no dignity in poverty. If somebody can fix their life, fixing bugs, if fixing bugs will get me an apartment and a car and I'll sort out my family, I'll fix the bugs. Like, that's fine.
Back to the audience. Back to the audience. Shiko first.
Ali, I actually have the mic, so I'll just touch a little bit. I'm not going to really address what George has said directly. I'll just speak about a little bit about a timing issue for a lot of tech companies. And the strategy is always the same across the world. And when you enter a market, what do? You want to prove to the rest of the world that we are good. Okay, you're not doing us any favors. It's not a grant that they're giving us, or they're coming here because they like Africa and they want to do their diversity numbers. It's not a diversity play. It's that these guys genuinely are very good. And so initially, the strategy, even for me, is get good developers, bring them in. 400 or whatever it is not. We're talking about 20 developers in 3 months. I mean, really. I mean, that's nothing. You know, that's again back to Dr. Mwangi's words, scarcity mentality. You know, we come in, get the right guys, build them, and then in the same time we have programs to grow the pipeline, because it's not sustainable in the long term. I'll be shooting myself in the foot thinking I'll forever go to the industry. It can't. You have to invest in the pipeline for the future. And
but
that's
you're operating in a level where you believe the easiest way for you to get talent is to come to Safari.
Shut this guy down.
So
shut this guy down.
But it's a fact.
George, I have not asked you to speak.
No. I'm responding to Jack. No, if there is 400, 500, 1,000 developers,
George, it's my
go
panel.
hire those guys.
George, it's my panel. Shut this guy down.
Yeah.
All right, I've stopped.
So
I'll come back to you.
Yeah. So just to close on that. I mean, so the idea here is really to make sure that the whole ecosystem in the long term really does benefit out of all of this, and that's the primary reason. I like what Faris says. You know, whether you're sorting, and it's the same thing with sorting bugs or whatever it is, before they trust you to build, for example, Windows operating system, they have to start you from the ground, just like all of us when we joined our jobs. At least for me, I was pushing servers in a data center. That was my starting job, which is fine. But even for them, they're like, we're not sure about you guys. We'll start you off with this. Let's see how you guys do it. 10 years from now, don't be surprised, there'll be a guy standing right here in a fire chat like this and saying, I'm the guy who built Microsoft Azure Cloud. A guy who looks like me and you.
Thank you. Back to the audience. Hapa tafadhali mugwe karibu.
Hi, do I have to stand up?
Not really. You can.
Hi, good evening.
Good morning, as Harry told us.
So, I'm talking from a point of privilege. So I have to say that out first. As somebody who worked for both Microsoft and Google, there are two things that we are, and Faris has said it very well.
And Safaricom.
Oh, yeah, in Safaricom.
So three. Microsoft, Google, Safaricom.
And a few other in there. And for me, what Faris has said is very important, yeah? What we are ignoring, that these developers, UXers, all these people, we are standing in between them. It's not about money and their ambition, yeah? And it's not always about money. By the way, George, you're not the only person who's lost people to Microsoft. I've had this conversation with George, yeah?
George or Jack?
I mean Jack. Hata mimi nimelose watu kutoka kwako. Yeah, you also give double. No, it's true. We lost a UXer to him. Yeah? And for me, it's not about Microsoft is hiring or Safaricom is hiring. It's what does that engineer look like. I always look at myself. When Google first approached me for hire, I couldn't believe that I could actually work for Google. Yeah, I couldn't believe that they could pick this random African who's not going to Stanford. And that when I joined Google, it was Stanford and Yale people who were working for Google. Yeah, and I worked in an engineering team at Google. And what that did to my mentality and my mind shift, that scarcity mentality shift, was awesome. And so when my team, somebody comes to me, or even somebody random on LinkedIn comes to me, should I go to Microsoft? I always say, go and get your mind shift changed. Because you might be solving bugs, but you're interacting with many other people who are solving bugs that are thinking very differently from you. And that has an effect on you as a human being. That's number one. It's iron sharpening iron. So if you're all going to stay here and all decide we're going to... I'm sorry, George. Please don't pick up on me after this.
Chico, you're my friend.
If you're all going to say we're going to stick at Safaricom and stay there, we're not going to be able to interact with these engineers that Jackie is working very hard to interact with us, and it's not going to change our mind shift. In the same way my silo pays for 10 other cousins, the same way the change in my mindset changes my community. I graduated, I was the first graduate in my village, got a master's, got a PhD. Let me tell you, all the kids that saw me go through that journey. Oh, thank you. All the kids in my village who saw me go through that journey, all of them had something to look up to. Yeah, they're all getting and surprisingly, most of them are in computer science. Some of them are working for Jack, and I'm very proud of that. So let's stop being selfish. Yeah, we are talking about lazy. What is it called? Lazy recruiter.
A lazy recruiter.
Me, I'm saying let's stop being selfish, looking at what our bottom line will look like. Let's look at these engineers 5-10 years from now and where they are going to be. Yeah, remember you're standing between them and their ambition, and their ambition is not necessarily money. Some of these kids, some of them that are from Safaricom who reach out to me, should I go to Microsoft? And I say go, because I know where their ambition is. And
so you are the one,
eh? Yeah, encourage them. We don't want to limit their ambition to where they can be in the future. Because if and I'm a very small statistic of what that exposure can do to somebody. What if we had 100 of other people who have that same exposure? Where would Kenya be 10 years from now? We have to start thinking like the Chinese. 10-year, 20, 30, 100-year horizon. Where will we be? That's my challenge.
Chico, thank you so much. I love that perspective. I really love that perspective. Who next?
Chairman.
Faraj?
I'd like to shift the conversation, kidogo.
Allah, you become the moderator now.
No, because Microsoft is able to pay double, triple of what Safaricom is paying. And according to George, he's able to pay those engineers, dev, he's able to pay whatever Microsoft is paying. But the bottleneck is HR. Do we really need HR in our organization? Why can't Jack decide, you know, this is my team, this is how much they need to be paid? HR knows how much an accountant needs to be paid. HR knows how much a techie needs to be paid. HR knows everything. Yeah, so...
This is an entrepreneur you are talking.
This is to my sister here.
That one is so hot. I have to let Cecilia answer that immediately.
Yeah, I'm looking at the moon up there and I'm like, what a question under the moon.
Cecilia, over to you.
HR is there to complement the efforts of the hiring managers. The hiring manager would be Jack, would be you, the person who is responsible for the talent that you're buying. So it's a facilitator. They're a facilitator.
They can say yes or no.
No. They are helping you, the hiring manager, to find the talent that you want. And I kind of almost sort of see where you're coming from, because sometimes HR, if they don't get to take the time to understand what your needs are, what your pain points are as a hiring manager. If it's about, I have a timeline, we have all those metrics that we use in HR. If it's a certain cycle and I have to meet them at the expense of finding the right talent I'm already missing the point. That's number one. Number two, it's about culture. If you don't understand and act as a facilitator, that yes, this is what you're looking for, yes, this is your wish list, but what does the organization holistically need in terms of getting talent that are a cultural fit? If HR does not support you as a hiring manager to find that talent, they're failing you. They're failing you because if they leave you to your own devices, say for example, if you're a CEO, you're in charge of ensuring that the organization is running smoothly, but HR is responsible for your culture, and if they do not hold you accountable to the culture that you want, then they're failing you.
Cecilia, thank you so much. I have something to say about that, but George is really itching to say something, and if I don't give him an opportunity, he'll punch me. George, please proceed.
Ali, allow me to say I'm not known as a violent person.
I take back my words, my brother. Pole sana. Please proceed.
No, I think the biggest thing we need to look at is, I want to say two things. I think one is we don't need to look at how we can share a small pie. We need to look at how the pie can be bigger. There are too many unemployed Kenyans for us to be arguing about 400 people. It's pathetic.
So why are we arguing, George?
There are so many talented people, and what we need to agree as organizations, and I love listening to Kamal's statement today that he has hired 99.9% Kenyans. We need to be looking at how we can get Kenyans employed, whether they are employed by Kenyan companies, by foreign companies, by Mars companies, Venus companies. We need to get young people in Kenya employed, number one. Number two, when we get these young people into our organizations, we need to develop them. As an organization in Safaricom, I was talking to, where is Moniki? Just lift your hand.
Moniki yako wapi? George has taken over my role as moderator.
Somewhere
He's
here.
now talking to.
So Moniki was telling me his story, where Moniki was.
Who is Moniki?
Moniki currently is a UX UI designer, but for years.
Safaricom or Microsoft?
At Safaricom, currently. Yes. Jack is over there taking notes, but with his HR company. But the fact is, Moniki was talking to me about the way he's a data center engineer. He used to be from 2008. Am I right? He told 2008, and he got tired of being in the data center and dealing with stuff. He went into the Safaricom Digital Academy together with Strathmore, Moringa, and other schools, got trained, and is now one of our best UX UI developers. When you look at Safaricom app.
Are you sure you want to talk more about Moniki?
No, it's fine. Jack is there. I'm actually, Jack can keep doing what he's doing. So the fact is this, no, it's okay. When you're the biggest tech company in the region, you supply talent even to international companies. And they can hire whoever.
Shots fired.
They can, Jack, whoever, they can lazily decide to take your talent. But the fact is this, I listened to Mwaniki's story last night, and I looked at somebody who worked in a data center, and he was talking to us, colleagues, I didn't know he did, and saying how he hated his job. But he went into the academy and came out on the other side as a UX UI developer, and that's what we're in the business of doing. My challenge to everybody, Kamal, Jack, everybody, let's take people who are tired of doing what they're doing, and some people who are jobless, and convert them into their passion. Because what we need to be doing is getting people to transform lives, not just to do a job. Because if you just get somebody, you can do any job, even cut grass. But if you're not doing what your purpose is and what your passion is, you'll never be satisfied. You'll just do it as a job. But if you really want to transform lives, we need to be equipping people, enabling people, and putting people in roles where they are able to help not just their communities, but the country and the continent. And that's what I'm passionate about.
Thank you, George. Thank you, George. Appreciate that. I will take 2 comments or questions from the the audience, and then Kamal has an interesting story to complete. I will ask him to do that. And then Ahmed is itching to also say something, and then I come back to my audience. Please introduce yourself and what you do and your question or comment.
Yeah, an interesting discussion right there. My name is Pauline from UNGA. And
UNGA Group?
Yes, UNGA Group. Yes, Jogo, X, Famila.
Pembe has not watched from you.
No.
Nadola.
No, not yet. They can't. Mine is a commenter, and a very interesting one. I'm not sure about the fight between Safaricom and Microsoft. But
by the way, there's no fight between Safaricom and Microsoft. Can we be clear about that? We are having a very interesting conversation.
Yes, on a lighter note.
All right.
There is a fact that we need to face, that Kenyan companies don't pay well. When 6 years ago,
did you say Kenyan companies don't pay well?
Yes.
I thought I heard wrong.
Yes, I said that.
Does that include Safaricom?
Yes.
Shots fired. George, we'll come back to you.
Have you ever worked for Safaricom?
The fact that Microsoft is able, or any other company is able to poach from there, that means these employees have been enticed with what? What is the difference between this company A and company B? Cash, money. Yeah, and good environment, I mean. So 6 years ago, that's when I was completing my campus, and an international company came here in Kenya and decided to pick fresh graduates, and those who had not completed. I had not gotten my graduation certificate yet, but when I showed them my transcript, they're like, okay, come. And then they trained us. There is this one particular trainer who came from South Africa, and he really psyched us. You know, we are training you this, and this is the amount you're going to earn after here. And we were all so happy and excited. I mean, that kind of money when you're just a fresh graduate. And these were his words. This is the minimum amount of money you can get from here.
How much was it?
At that time, it was 100,000.
How long ago?
That was 6 years ago, and this is fresh from campus, and you're being given 100,000 for a start. So we were so excited. We really did our best, passed the examination, and the first week they got us interviews here and there. So we went for interviews, and guess what? Oh yeah, we are going to hire you. How much are you going to pay us? 20,000.
What?
We went and told that trainer, and he was so frustrated. I mean, we've put all this investment to train you guys, and all they can pay you is that.
She said it's a
but face it, it was the reality. The trainer, the international company left us and went back, and here we faced it. We went and worked for that. So, yes.
Wrap it up with your.
Okay, good. So mine is this. There's somebody who talked about regulators. We need to have an IT regulation, something, that says for these skill sets, not serikali. Why can't we have not serikali, ourselves, this professional governance something, committee or something. This skill set, you can only earn this much. I don't think it works.
This is Monique here. Jack, this is Monique.
This is Monique.
Pauline, okay. I'm coming back.
Meet Jack.
Okay, please make a comment or question very quickly, and then I'm coming back to Kamal here.
So, my name is Alex. I work for Zepri. In my other life, Zepri is a reinsurance company.
Hi, Alex.
Before that, I used to work for a multinational, also consumer goods company. And the two realities I think that I learned from the two companies. The first one was the fact that because we were not like the developers or the core IT companies, we will never be able to give the environment that Safaricom gives. So that's a reality. So expect that when we come to poach, we'll always poach with cash. So that will always happen. So we have to be prepared to live with it. The second reality that I also learned was that the young people, we expect them to have careers of 6 years, 10 years. You know, I can say proudly, I worked for Unilever for 20 years, right? Very proudly. But today, those careers are no longer there. We also have to expect and learn to live with the fact that you will train the person for 1 year, they'll deliver for the second year, and the third year they'll be looking for a new job. So it's a reality that we also have to live with and be able to say, if I get this young talent for 5 years, I have to get the very best out of them in that short time. It will not be long-term careers.
Thank you so much. Those are interesting anecdotes. Before I come back to you guys, I want Kamal to continue his story, but I also want to leave you with a question which we'll come back to. There's this very common thing that in HR people say, employees don't leave companies, they leave bosses. Let me repeat this. Employees don't leave companies, they leave their bosses. Let that marinate first. We'll come back to that. Over to Kamal.
Okay, so so when I had this opportunity and I did not leave the company that I was running for this opportunity, which was just out of this world. Why I did not leave? I think employees, the staff don't work for, I think most of the time throughout the day is the time you spend in your office. Time you spend in the place where you are delivering something, where you are working something. Do you have a purpose? You know, in the evening when your staff goes home, how sure are you that he is going to come back next day? Can we create an environment inside the company that allows him, that motivates him to come back? Every day when you wake up in the morning, again another day I need to go to work. Versus let's get up, let me go there. My time is 8, I'll be there at 7:30 because I need to do this and this and this. How do we create that environment? So that's what I thought we should be starting that. And when the other case where I really suffered was at one point I wanted to go live with this bank, and from a company size of 15, 10 of them resigned at the same day. No, I think somebody like Microsoft paid them higher.
So what did you do there? I'm really curious to find out.
So you go to the customer and you start crying. What else? So there are three things that I think personally, and this I mean may not work for you or may work for you, but personally, internally, what we do is you need to have a team that you really need to take care of. Now I have Craft Silicon today is about 400 people company. Little is reaching to about 150 company. I'm heading Little at the moment, so I can focus more on Little in this particular discussion. In Little,
so who's heading Craft Silicon?
I have another CEO who runs Little now. For
me. You've employed somebody for
Craft Silicon.
For Craft Silicon.
Yeah, he runs it.
Wow. Yeah. I think we need to have a separate conversation around that.
Perfect. So when I run this Little, there are like 7 or 8 people in Little which I think are extremely critical for the operation of Little. Now for my job as the CEO for Little, I just need to make sure that these 7 or 8 people are so well taken care of. And when somebody is leaving you, the process of leaving doesn't, tomorrow he gets a job, that process for him leaving didn't start yesterday. It's a process that the staff has gone through. You know, when you are not happy, you start wandering around, and then somebody comes in and says, there's an opportunity, the guy starts exploring. So if he left in January, the process of him living in January could have started like 3, 4, 5 months back. Why can't you handle it in a way that that process just doesn't start? If you are interacting with your people on day-to-day basis, I mean, create an environment. For example, you know, especially in the tech team in Little, and I'm so confident, Jack, if you would come in, my tech team may not come to you. And I'm so confident that. And the reason I think that has happened is because, as I said, people, if you give a purpose for people to deliver, I think then they stick to the purpose. Money is, yes, money is so critical and important and required, but money is not the only thing that drives people to be at a place that they are. Obviously, if I'm paying somebody 100,000 and he gets $1 million, maybe he starts shaking down. But generally, if I'm giving 100,000 and somebody gets 200,000, he may not make a decision, perhaps, if the environment where he is working in is so well set for him. And there is a purpose to that. Purpose is so critical for us humans. When there is a purpose, then money slightly, possibly becomes slightly secondary to the staff. So I think for us, that's how we have been able to retain the talent in both Little as well as Craft Silicon. And people would leave, people would leave, but that layer which you are controlling so close, keep them so close. So, for example, my CTO, for example, I control him. Give your CTO the power that he creates the similar kind of an environment under him. So me, I take care of the first 6 people I know. They will make sure that they do not leave, keeping the HR side. And honestly, HR in Little is just a managerial role that says, okay, this guy possibly should be, salary should be increased like this and that. But I handle the tech team, the people who report to me directly, I handle them directly with them. Now my CTO has another 10 people under him. He would handle the same way I handled my layer. So him also would have now the same layer. So I think that has helped us to reduce the people leaving us and somewhere else. That's, I think, what I have learned.
Thank you so much. 100%, 100%. I think what you've just said, Kamal, for me resonates quite a bit. Purpose. I think it's the right time for me to ask Ahmed to talk about something. A few days ago, Ahmed and I were having this conversation in terms of prepping, and one of the things that he really came out strongly about is, what's the passion? What is it that is making me do what I do? For those of you who are management thinkers, dabble with reading books, you may have read Jim Collins' Built to Last. And if you remember, one of the key takeaways in that book is first who, then what. Let me repeat, first who, then what. You're not going to put people in a bus and then start driving. You don't know, you have not told people where they are going, and then muko katikati ya barabara, the driver is looking back and says, wewe unaenda wapi? Mwingine yuenda Magongo, mwingine yuenda Kisauni, mwingine yuenda Nairobi. Mtafika lini? You're not going to get anywhere. Ahmed, over to you.
At one point, I thought it was a Microsoft versus Safaricom discussion. Speaking of whatever has been discussed earlier, I think a lot of points relate to each one of us at one point or the other. With what Microsoft has done, and before I discussed what Ali has mentioned in terms of passion, Microsoft has disrupted the tech space. I think I tweeted about that a while back. We were so comfortable, and even as employers, we were complacent. I know it's a tech discussion, but poaching has been there in all industries. It's been there across different industries. I agree with the points of salary is not the only motivator. I totally agree when it comes to somebody's ambition, somebody's goals in terms of what they want to achieve, or also a stepping stone to what they want, because at the end of the day, it's money will never be enough. Your lifestyle will increase, your overheads will go up, you'll still keep looking, you'll enjoy it for a short time, and you're back to square one, looking again for better and better and better, or more and more and more. When I put on my business hat where I talk from experience, one thing I've always told myself, and something that my mom has also played a very huge role in my life, making me understand this, is if it was easy, everybody would do it. We might be here from a point where we are leaders or entrepreneurs or business owners, and maybe that's why a point was raised, it's very biased, but then there are risks that we're taking on. And from a business point, you have a risk of a business not succeeding, you have a risk of going bankrupt, you have a risk of the business collapsing, you have a risk of losing everyone. And how he managed a time when he was going live and lost 10 people, or rather 10 resignation, that's a skill you can only get from a person who's passionate about his business. A business that you're resilient, a business that you can give all you have to make it succeed. I left employment with a very good salary, I can say at the time, as much as I felt I was underpaid, to start up something with no salary for 2 years.
Always feel we're underpaid.
With no salary for 2 years. And people think starting a business is easy, having a bigger team or growing your team is successful, but it's not. It's actually one of the toughest, most broke and emotional position you can ever be. There's a story which happened a couple of months back, and that's why I say it's not a Microsoft against Safaricom or a Microsoft. And by the way, Microsoft does not just take people who do bugs. I know people who are actually in research, dealing with international market, increasing their capacity, which they are actually improving the Kenyan space overall. The taxes paid to the Kenyan government, it's also money that they're paid as salary. So the story I have is, it was a local company, big agency. We lost a client. It's business, we win and lose. And in the process, when they signed up with the other agency, they came and swept the team that was handling the account. Big hit, definitely, because we trained them a lot. Wow. 2 people stayed back. There were 6, 4 left, 2 stayed back. But among the 4 who left, one of them came to me personally in the evening in the office and told me, I've come to you open, I've told you what I'm doing, where I'm going, why I'm doing it. I'm doing it for the money. It wasn't about a culture or anything. But I'm telling you this because if things don't work out, I'd like to come back. And he told me, if you match what they are giving, I'm willing to stay. And that's why I had said something earlier, risking the company's future to make somebody happy stay doesn't work for us. We don't feel that we should lock down somebody or hold down somebody because we own them or they're ours. There's nothing like that. So wished him well, blessed him, told him all the best. For the 2 that stayed, I asked them, why? And there's one thing one said, that they've worked in 3 different agencies in their career, and there's one thing they've liked is the fact that they understand our vision as from the leadership team, and they believe in it. The other one said, I am loyal. That was his only answer, I'm loyal. And to think about it, that's not money. Money cannot buy loyalty. Money cannot buy understanding a vision or dream. I believe in increasing the pie, the size of the pie, and not taking each other's pies. But then also at the end of the day, we have to see what are we doing to these people who are doing these good things for us. You know,
Ahmed, thank you so much.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
And I look back and say, apart from the salary and maybe the small benefits we can afford, what else? And these are people, I was an employee. You know, I was working for somebody. Do you want to hold somebody just for life, or you want them to actually become better and let them go? So if we have a mindset that we should be able to train, to adapt, to get new talent, and continue the business in different stages of its life, I don't think we should be worried about poaching, because I've experienced, it was painful, it was very emotional. I remember how it felt, but you accept it. And that is what I feel is one of the things as an entrepreneur or a business owner, where you accept as one of the risks in any business. Because if it wasn't there, it will just be easy for everyone.
Thank you, Ahmed. Fantastic. Guys, it's time to wrap it up. I'll take 2 more questions or comments. They're here already. Keep it really sharp. 2 comments or questions, and then I come back to my panelists for closing remarks. And then, as my daughters would say, it's Friday, yeah. Saturday, Sunday, what? It's Friday already, guys. Chill out. It's only 2 hours before Friday.
Boss, it's actually properly Thursday.
It's only 2 hours before Friday.
I'm okay with it being Friday.
All right. Michael Miche, yesterday, allow me to say a very funny story, Michael, before you start. Please stand up. Michael is one of my best small brothers ever. CIO at a very tender age. Yesterday, we were having a very interesting conversation, and he went through 5, 6 interviews at a bank, and finally when he was about to be offered a job, they asked him, are you going to cut that hair? And that story ended there. Michael, over to you.
Ali, I thought I'm also your small bro.
Thank you. One comment and then one question. Comment, whoever who said, the 2 gentlemen who talked about regulation, it's a very bad idea, because we're not playing in the Premier League. We don't need transfer rules. You don't want to be locked in if you're a bad employer because you have to wait 3 years because of some regulation before someone else offers you a job, or the quota to the company you want to work with has been filled. Microsoft is allowed to only take 20 people a year. You're number 21. Why is your dream is being regulated? That's not fair. Then to the panel, I feel really sad. There's no talent seated on either side to say, this is how I feel. You're the bulls, the grass is not participating. There should be talent saying, the reason it moved from Safaricom to this and this other company are these reasons. The only time people capture those reasons are in exit interviews. When someone has to feed you a very nice reason as to why they are leaving, because maybe they want to come back later. But it should be an honest thing. Once a week or whatever time it is, why do you like working here? What do you need? I refuse to cut my hair for better salary, so it's not always about the money. So the question is, do you have these honest conversations with your talent? Second, on top of having those conversations, are you actually, when the talent tells you, I wish maybe we had a break room. I went to one office, I saw they had a panic room where they let people, the engineers go in. It's a fully padded soundproof room, and they scream. As in, they have somewhere to let go of all that tension. No one is going home and taking their office drama at home, making things worse, and then they're being told, I think it's your job. You either change your job or we part ways. There's none of that. That is being sorted in the office. So such creative ideas. Are you people doing that? Next, give us solutions to stop the talent wars. Practical solutions that you've implemented.
Thank you, Michael. Guys, in your closing statements, some of you, I would like each one of you to take one question from Michael. I think he's raised a very important issue, quite a number of issues. And why isn't talent one of the talent that we're talking about here? I'll answer that, Michael.
Hi everyone, so my name's Kaylee, and I was talking today about the human element, so this conversation is pretty relevant. I agree with you, Mike. I think that we do need to look at why isn't the talent on the table, but I think it is also on the table. Because, George, if you were offered something that was 2 or 3 or 4 times more, would you move? Microsoft, Jack, do you have a job for George?
Not Microsoft,
No,
but
no.
probably.
But I think it goes back to something I mentioned today, and Kamal, you've mentioned purpose. It goes back to significance. How are you making your people feel significant? What value are you unearthing in them? Because sometimes they don't even realize it themselves. And that's the role that we play as employers. Are we unearthing the value in the people that we hire so they realize their own potential? Sometimes they think they know what that potential looks like, but in fact, you can sell them something that is far bigger. The poverty mindset that was referred to, or scarcity mindset, is something that we as Africans live with every day. We're told we're third world. We're told we can't participate unless we're invested in by the future. I mean, Harry and I are talking next week about innovation and the fact that we are losing our innovation homegrown here because people aren't investing enough in it. Africans aren't investing in African innovation. Yet we have internationals coming in and taking our IP offshore. Because why? Because we've created something, somebody's shown an interest, they've identified the value that we have, that we think we have, and we've gone, thank you very much, I'll go with you. Whether that's Russia, whether that's the UK, whether that's the US, I'll go because you validated that I am worthy and that I have significance. It starts and ends with significance.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Kelly. We have one more.
But this guy has 150 million US dollars.
One last one. One last one, and then back to my panelists, and then we shut it down.
I mean, Harry, we don't need to go there right now. Man. I could be.
Harry's already there.
Be Chongwad, man, somewhere here in Mombasa. Anyway, my name is Leon Kiptum. I'm with Cheaper Cash. I want to say something that I was actually having a conversation with Jack about it. George, don't kill me. I know we come from far, but
tunatoka mbali yani.
Yes, tunatoka mbali. I think we need to move away from this misconception that talent must be loyal to us. We need to move away from that because the era of undivided loyalty went a long time ago, and now we have to create value for the people that we have in our team. Yesterday was a day of mixed feelings for me because I had 2 conversations. One, it was with one of my staff, my top customer operations managers, who has been looking for me for the last 2 days saying, I need to have a conversation with you. And her opening statement was, Leon, I didn't want to talk to anyone else before I talk to you, but I'm tendering my resignation. Yes, that's a very difficult discussion. And I asked her several questions and tried to understand where are you coming from. Said, of course, before I came to Chipa, I had another conversation with someone else, and I really wanted to go there and whatnot and whatnot. And I asked her this question: what is it that you're getting there that I can't give you here? Is it money? Said no. Is it that we have a bad culture, or is it something that is not working for you in our organization? I said no. It's just a matter of passion. It's something I really, really had been wanting to do before I came to Chipa. Your environment is good, your culture is good. I'm happy here, but I really just need to do this. Yeah. So the era of loyalty has nothing to do sometimes with the organization. By the way, it has nothing to do with Chipa, with Safaricom, with Microsoft. Sometimes it's really just allowing the people to. We are not organizational talent managers. We are talent managers in our own right as leaders in the industry. So sometimes you can actually manage a talent that has left you. Yeah? And you allow it to grow and you nurture it. I have people that I mentor that worked for me, work somewhere else, even work with my competitors, but I still mentor them up to date. Why? Because talent management has become part and parcel of who we are as leaders in the industry, and that's how we need to embrace it. The era of loyalty, far gone. Far gone. You can create the kind of value you want in your organization for people to stay with you, but at the end of the day, we also need to realize that the people that we work with, the people that we manage, have specific passions. They have things that they want to achieve. Some actually want to break out and get out of employment, as we've heard today. So we need to be conscious of that as the people who manage talent. and I think, yeah. So I was saying mixed feelings because shortly after that call, I was actually interviewing someone else. So I've taken someone from one of you. Because the moment I was done with that conversation, I
and
quickly,
there it goes, round and round.
Yeah. So and I asked them, so why are you leaving where you're coming from? Is there a problem? Why have you made the decision that you want to why did you apply for this job? Why did you want to come and work with Chip? And said, I'm really just passionate about what you guys are doing as a company, and I want to be part of something that is coming up because I have been somewhere which has been very established, and I feel like I'm just part of the bureaucratic process. So again, people just want to advance themselves in different ways. So we need to move away from thinking, I am cheaper, I am Safaricom, I am Microsoft, and my talent is my talent. No, we need to be bigger in terms of industry leaders who are actually developing people that will make a difference where we are and where they're going.
So two sides of a different coin, basically. Yes. Thank you so much, Leon. We're coming to the tail end of our conversation, super interesting. Kamal, closing statement, 1 minute. Guy Fafa. What are we ignoring?
Yes, it is street-side. The generation that we have, the people we're employing now are not like late millennials, like, oh, you're not a millennial, man. Let's take George as late millennial. they are younger millennials and Gen Zs.
Shiko, stop diagnosing me.
You have not met my daughters, who are Gen Alpha.
Yes, exactly.
The other day, she was asking my wife, why are you guys in the... Why do you guys always have the master bedroom? How come we don't have the master bedroom? You have not dealt with Gen Alpha yet.
Thank you. And I was hoping that comes out in this conversation because we call him director in our team. There's a guy we call director because his goal is to be a director. And he says, Shiko, me, I can make money by sitting I don't need to be employed by anybody. I come.
How old is he?
He's 20. Maybe 27. I come to work
Bitcoin.
because I want to hang out with my friends and do meaningful work. It's not the money. I can make double that money doing work online.
Bitcoin.
No, coding, actually. He's a very good developer. Jack would just hear you. So, I have not seen him.
Everybody is on Jack's case.
And
Jack,
George.
I'll give you the last one.
And George and Jack would just scare you. So for me, it is, we have to be very conscious of the generation that we are employing. It's no longer the kind of generation that we were in, where we saw our parents stay in jobs for 30, 40 years. And us, the next generation is a 10-year span. Now they're saying 3 months, 6 months. When you look at a CV, it's 6 months, 9 months. If somebody has done the most, it's 18 months. Yeah, because the attachment to that particular role is because of their friends and what they get beyond the money, because they can make that money anywhere and anyhow.
Shiko, I completely agree with you. On that same statement, on that same wavelength, I swear to God, this is true story. I was sitting in an interview, young guy, and the HR lady finally asked this guy a question like, how come you're not staying for 1 year, 9 months here, another one 6 months? What is wrong? Is there something wrong with you? Do you know what his answer was? Why are you not asking whether there's something wrong with that employer? Why is it always something wrong with the employee? How? Why couldn't they keep me? I'm off. That was the end of the story, by the way. The guy was like, wachaikai. Kamal?
So that's closing remarks, yeah?
Closing remarks, please.
Ali, there's the last guy here.
Hey, Ari Bana, we're publisher.
No, who's taking time? This guy.
Which guy is that now?
He's been out like this.
Where umeongwa? Sure, please proceed.
Okay, thanks. By of introduction, my name is Simon Juguna, CIO NCBA Bank. Just to comment on...
Nataka kukuona baada ya hapa. Tuongee offline.
Okay.
Just to comment on the whole issue on talent, I would just encourage George, if you think Safaricom is bleeding, just have a look at the banking and how we are suffering from, that whole game of poaching and loss of talent, good talent, and so on and so on. But as one of my directors says, I don't think we can hold it much longer. We cannot hold people. We've tried everything. And the good thing that this poaching and talent movement has created, it has actually awakened our HR departments, if there is anyone from HR here, to rethink on what we are doing right and what we are doing wrong, what we are doing traditionally that is not applying to the current talent pool within the organization. We've tried everything. We've tried it's called what? Counter offering. We've tried bonding people. We've tried all those, and nothing is working. People are still going, and you can't tie a guy who means to go even for a day. They mean to go, they go. If you look at, and that's why I think in the Kenyan market it's quite a paradox, because we have so many people who are jobless, and we have so many people who are trained, but we cannot get the right skills to do some of the jobs that we have. And yet, I think it's only in Kenya you can get a guy with PhD in veterinary medicine and computer science at the same time. And people are really, really learned in this country, but trying to get the right skills to come and do the right job for you, it's such a challenge.
That's
so
interesting.
I think that's is a thing that we cannot stop. Let the movement happen. Let people move around. I think at the end of the day, there will be an equilibrium where everybody will play their role to ensure that then we get the right skills when we need them, and let the people grow. There are people who in their 20s want to work for Microsoft. That's a personal, they want that brand in their CV. You can't stop them. We just have to let the market play, but we have to do our part to ensure that services like banking don't stop. So I'm trying to poach, so if you have good talent, I'll come for them. So it's just, that's where we are. Thank you.
This now has become a Savo National Park. Poachers are all over the place. Kamal, over to
I think you said something right at the last statement. So for us at Little, we want to build a great company. We are building a great company. So great that, let's say, if the CEO for Microsoft comes to Kenya, he would say, Jack, I want to go and see the guys for Little. So we are building that company, and if you have some guys who can help us to build that company, please tell them to send me the CV at hr@little.africa. hr@little.africa, please.
But Kamal, you said you don't have an HR money.
Okay, send it at kamal@little.africa.
Paris, over to you, sir.
Yeah, I've just sort of crystallized my thoughts into a short statement. But basically, we've achieved our dream. And like there's a Chinese curse that may you achieve what you've been looking for. This is what happens when you become a hub of tech. And like people come and poach talent and it becomes more expensive. This is what Kenya has been working towards. The solution to lack of demand is high prices. Like literally, because there's a shortage, prices go up and you meet the demand. This is a feature, not a bug. For this ecosystem to grow, this is part of it. And finally, clustering will happen. Google, Amazon, one of these guys will come, and the first person they'll go after is Microsoft. Because that's exactly what happened with Amazon in Seattle.
100%.
Amazon set up in Seattle because Microsoft was there and poached from Microsoft.
100%.
It will only get worse.
Or
it's
better.
not getting better. No.
Or better.
The complaint about salaries going up, they are going to keep going up because now that Microsoft has set up, other people are going to be, I am sure, the Googles, Amazons of the world are looking at Kenya as a hub, and they will set up. And so even Microsoft will have to pay more for it. We literally just have to accept that the ecosystem has to grow. The era of low salaries is over, and we just move on with our lives.
Thank you, Faris. George, there's something that Jack said, and I don't think you've responded to it. Could you respond to it in your closing statement? That statement for me resonated to no end. And he said, so you guys want us to pay low salaries? You're saying we are paying 2-3 times salaries. You want us to pay low salaries? Please respond to that in your closing statement. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Jack. Allow me to say this, that...
Why has your voice gone low? Huh?
No.
I cannot order a drink for you, my brother.
No.
Upewe, moja.
You can order one. But the point I'm saying is this, huh? Anytime a Kenyan does better than they're doing today, I'm happy as an individual. I'm not about my company. Ali, you know how many companies I've worked for. Probably next year I'll be in a different company. So it's not about the company I'm in, not Microsoft, don't say that. But anytime somebody is able to do better for themselves and for their family, I'm happy. But back to my comment. So that's my answer to Jack's comment that you've raised. But what am I passionate about and what do I believe in? I think what has happened, I actually believe adversity shakes you up and allows you to step into greatness. I love what Microsoft did because it allowed us to have a critical conversation with our HR, with my CEO, and now we have a different model that we're working on IT. The entire IT remuneration and everything is changing because of some of those things. It was difficult to have that conversation before, but as we saw more and more talent leave, we had to have that conversation.
You need to buy Jack a black label double.
I don't need to buy Jack a black label.
You need to, because he's made you do things, forced you to do things that are great.
I was going to do them either way.
Okay, good.
So he was just a catalyst. So a catalyst is something that fastens a reaction. If you remember chemistry, Ali, it doesn't mean that the catalyst is what caused the reaction. It just hastened it.
Shots fired.
So I went to a good school. So
we both,
you and I. But allow me to bring it back to what Kamal said. Tomorrow you may see me and I'll be wearing an African shirt. The lady who made the shirt is a lady who I met at a point where she was really trying to get her business going. And initially she had a Kabambe phone, and through doing a lot of her shirt business, she moved from her Kabambe phone to a smartphone. Now, most of you know what Kabambe is all about. And I actually reflected on Mulikamuizi. I reflected on the word Kabambe and actually thought that Kabambe has a lot to do with seizing opportunities. But there's only so much of opportunities you can do with a Kabambe. And that's why when I looked at Kamal's little app and opportunities, you can only get it with a smartphone. And when I reflect about the work we do at Safaricom, it's not just about data and voice and mobile money. It's really about the opportunities we can put in the hands of Kenyans. Now, this lady has a smartphone. I sent her several pictures now. Before I had to go and flip through a magazine and tell her I like this shirt. Now, I can send her pictures on WhatsApp. She looks at them, responds to me, and I say, please do this. And literally yesterday, as I was on my way to the airport, she sent a rider on Bolt to the airport. Sorry, Kamal. She sent a rider on Bolt. I'm going to tell her to use Little going forward. I swear. I'm going to tell her if I work with you, you need to use Little. For 450 shillings, she sent a rider from CBD to the airport, delivered my shirt for me, and I paid her on M-Pesa. I had not seen...
Jack, our wamelipa, sorry Harry, wamelipa enough advertising. This is product placement here.
No. Watch premium there.
Premium.
Listen, so the point I'm trying to make, it comes back to what Kamal said. It's really about purpose. When I looked at that transaction and this lady and how she transformed her lives, it's not about Excel or Access, PowerPoint. It's really about putting something in her hand that is able to make her earn a living and be able to actually reach me, get paid, pay in future a little. Look at that whole ecosystem. And other people who like her work, and I was in the US last week and I wore her shirt and people told me, I like this, how can I get it? I can connect her to those people. They can, because she has a smartphone, they can WhatsApp together, share their measurement. She can be able to use M-Pesa Global to get money, or they can pay her through various means, Sendway, wherever. So the point I'm actually trying to bring, Ali, is this. If that lady's life can actually be transformed through the use of our technology, we need more engineers who are building solutions that are able to help that lady and a million others be able to do what they do. And that's my joy. That lady's life is not being transformed by Windows, by Access, Excel, or whatever. That lady's life is being transformed by a smartphone and by M-Pesa and everything that transforms it. And that's the welcome I have for Kamal and everybody else who builds solutions in Kenya, for Kenyans, and for Africa. That's what we need to be doing.
Thank you, George. Thank you, George. Cecilia,
I just
closing
want
statements.
to touch on something that Shiko said, which is very important. People need to understand the different types of talent that you have. It's not just the generations, the different generations, but it's also the types of players that you have. You have A players, B players, C players, and they need to be managed differently, they need to be given different opportunities, and they need to be the whole purpose that you're talking about. An A player will really come out strongly compared to a C player. If you don't understand the talent that you have, again, you manage them badly, then they move on. So I thought that was a very good point that you commented on. But just to close this conversation, we have to, as Faris has said, the wars, as we're saying, will continue to grow. We're privileged. We are sitting in an environment where we are attracting large organizations. It means our talent is good, but how do we move away from the little that we have and we create a larger pool of talent? If we don't address the scarcity of talent, we will be talking about this conversation 10 years from now. And my question to the employers that are seated here, other than the small, well, maybe it's not small, other than the training institutions that have already been developed, how can it be done on a large scale to train the talent that is out there, the youth that are out there? Can we offer to develop the curriculums that are being taught in universities and tertiary education systems? Can we commit as employers and say, these are the skills that we want, let's talk with other stakeholders, let's develop this curriculum so that the net effect of that is that 10, 15, 20 years from now, we'll have a wider pool of talent to be able to choose from. It will benefit the youth, it will benefit the organizations, and unless we have that long-term view, we'll keep going round in circles.
Vicious cycle.
The talent was.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Cecilia, for your closing statements. Ahmed?
Not being product placement, but the fact that I run the company called Disruptive, I enjoy the fact that there is disruption that is happening.
Nawasikia tu
Ari hakuna shida,
I'm your accountant here.
Itatuma M-Pesa. So I think disruption is quite it's a good thing, to be honest. It gets us to be creative. It gets us to think of solutions. Everything everyone has said, I think, has one or two things that all of us need to implement. The gentleman said something about signing off the leave interview, exit interview forms, and it hit really hard. Not because there's the time I remember when I was leaving and I was writing, and you just don't know, should you be honest or should you just make them happy? The funny thing, a solution towards that,
So
and
what did you finally do?
Yeah.
Make them happy or be honest?
I'll tell you on the side. The one thing that the solution came from now a current team member was a solution that, how about instead of sitting in status meetings, we have status every once a week. Instead of going through work, how about we just ask each other, how are you? And genuinely, how are you? Like, as a person. We try and avoid the fact that we are all humans, it has been mentioned. No matter how latest technologies come up, no matter how far we want to go with our ambitions, we are humans. And we humans have something that affects us that sometimes we just need to talk about it to feel better. So respect the fact that a business, a brand is not anything without people. Value these people as much as you can, lift them. I love what George said, if they succeed, as long as they're doing well, it's good for all of us. It doesn't need to be about, has to be me. And that's where envy goes. You support one another. You lost this time, you'll win tomorrow. That would be mine.
Ahmed, thank you so much. I think I want to give Jack an opportunity to say one last thing, and then I close this out, and then I hand it over back to my brother from another mother, Mr. Harry Hare.
Yeah, I mean, so, you know, in my view, first of all, I don't think it's a Microsoft versus Safaricom kind of thing. We respect Safaricom. We know they have done excellent amount of work. They have transformed lives in Africa. Well, in Kenya now, going to Ethiopia. They are a company to watch, and it's one of those blue chip companies that we are proud of. Everywhere you go, you talk about M-Pesa, and it has put us on the map as East Africans. So there's a lot to be proud about. We also have to think about the next horizon, of what are the things we want to be proud about, beyond just achievements that our companies have done. We want our individuals to shine. And part of it is inviting global companies to play here. I always use this analogy in closing, Ali. If we had, imagine if you had a manufacturing plant for Mercedes-Benz, for Toyota, for Mazda, for Honda, in the 90s and in the 80s in Kenya. How many qualified engineers for motor vehicles would we have here right now? You would not have a problem that you have to import parts from Germany or wherever if you have one of those big cars that George drives. You wouldn't. You wouldn't.
Wow.
You'd have.
You guys must have a drink after this.
I'll buy you a drink, George. I'm just kidding. But the fact is, you would definitely have that transformation in livelihoods from a skill set. And I think last year, the advanced party for Google was in Kenya, just figuring out what the talent looks like. And the year before, it was Facebook. And when I spoke to them, and I'm not speaking as Microsoft, I'm speaking as Jack Ngare, who believes that talent here should actually be given an opportunity to shine. I told them, please come. And they looked at me and were like, we actually thought this meeting, you tell us how the talent is not that great, how, you shouldn't come now, give it some time. And I was like, no, come. Yes, it will create a problem for me, for sure. But you have to come. Because now is the time for all tech companies to come to Africa and invest here. So I will not be afraid. We will deal with it. So,
Jack, thank you so much.
Ali, you owe me a drink, though.
I do.
I was not going to come for this panel, though.
100%, I do.
I agree with Jack. If Kenya becomes the hotbed of talent hunts in Africa, then Kenya gains. You listen to me for now. So, Jack, we've agreed and we'll hang out. Let's make Africa talent in Africa. When people talk about India, let them start talking about Kenya.
Well done, George. Guys, I want to thank everyone. We've been here for 2.5 hours. I think this is the longest panel I've ever had. And guys are still like, we want more. I really want to thank everyone. Before I hand over to Harry to tell us what next, because he told us good morning when he came. Obviously, there is something else that we don't know about. But I really, really want to thank my panelists, each one individually in a special way. I want to thank all of you guys. And you know, for some of us who've been in this tech ecosystem literally from the beginning, we were sitting, Harry and I and others were sitting in meetings with Dr. Ndemo when the undersea cables had not hit Mombasa. Harry, do you remember those 6 a.m. meetings in Dr. Ndemo's office? So this country and the continent has come from far, and we still will go far. So I like what Shiko said. Iron sharpens iron. So these, I think it was the acting Director General of the Communications Authority who said something to us at the Kenya ICT Action Network, KICTANET, because us guys, when it comes to ICT policy at KICTANET, we have zero chills, absolutely zero chills. And we have made good enemies and bad enemies, and we continue to do it. What I want to say, she said something that was very, very important for me, and I saw it here today. Sort of what Shiko said, but in another interesting way. She said, creative tension is super important for growth. So guys, I want to thank everyone. Hand over back to Harry, but we must first clap for ourselves.
Yeah. 7 cameras, 4 mixers, 4 switches, state-of-the-art audio equipment, a beast of a rack that does live stream, a team of 21 with 7 leading the pack. This is what it takes to do a DX5 production.
My name is Harry Hare.
Gerald Mushai.
Ian Oaga. James Njoroge, aka Sense from the East.
Gwen Mudui, aka Marshall.
Zagutudan, aka Chulo.
William Buru, Customer Success Manager, aka Will Kista.
I'm a technical lead at DX5 Studio.
Director of Photography, stroke line producer, and technical lead.
I handle visuals for production in the studio, and I'm the studio lead for the team that does production at DX5.
Sound engineer for DX5. Publisher and the chairman of DX5.
If I could not be in this profession, whereby I'm a video content creator, I will be mostly in the travel agencies, something like that, yeah.
I would have been an actor.
I'll be a rugby player, position scrum off.
Be an accountant.
If not in sound artistry, I think I'll be a farmer. Sound in general, I think it was in high school. We used to do Sunday services, and at the time we only had like a mixer and a PA system, and no one was courageous enough to go and learn about it. So I just took it up because I was also in the IT department.
Lord of the Rings. So that whole series made me fall in love with production. The behind the scenes, the imaginary things those guys do, the camera works, the scenes, all those things.
In terms of that is the best event we've held at DX5. I can't say and pinpoint one, because each event is different depending on agenda, and in terms of agenda and that is execution is totally different. So each event is unique on its own way.
So at the moment, my favorite is the Africa CISO Summit, which was the first of its kind here in Africa. And we really enjoyed the event. It was the production aspect of it was perfect. And in terms of also marketing the event, we really achieved a lot of success.
FinTech Summit, which this year we are calling it Smart Banking. I have Eagle and CIO100.
CIO100 has been because of the experience at the coast, the work relationship, the adventure at the same time. It was a wholesome.
We have learnings from the previous CIO100 events. We implement them, make the next one look bigger, and the fact that it's usually off location, far from Nairobi, it means we have to go explore new areas, new locations, new venues.
I think all events have been my best events. And why it's been like that is because we've built a culture of improving what we do from one event to the next event.
The most satisfying part is at the end of the event when you have accomplished, or an example, when you have a problem. So when we handle our events, we usually have plan Bs, plan Cs, plan Ds, just in case anything happens. So the most satisfying bit is when you see plan A has failed and plan B just picks up and the event continues seamlessly and it works. I think that is one of the most satisfying moments, when you do not have downtime at all.
So first, what keeps us, what set us apart from the other guys is, we were a one-stop shop from concept to execution.
Typical workflow would be recce. We'd have to do the recce. I had to get some calculations first in check, and then on the day of setup, the first thing I would do is to first of all set up the landscape, and then I would do a sound. I'd have to tune the PA system after setup, and that requires me to use an RTA microphone, and from there just do a normal sound check, and then we are rock and rolling, and we are on, we're live.
So what happens during production is, first of all, the event has to come. You have to know the events. We usually want to know the events 2-3 months before for planning. So the event comes, we sit down with the creative team, come up with a theme and elements for how the look and feel of the event will be. We do tests in the studio before we head out. If it's a live event, we have a studio here. We do tests before. We usually have an internal studio test and recce, and then we go out to the venue, check out the venue for electricity, for internet, how the room or how people will sit, do all those things, come back, link up with the social media department, link up with the guest engagement team and all those things. And then we come and we have our own designer who designs the whole room. And so there we set up the cameras on the design, we set up the lights, the sound, all those things are created here, and then we go and duplicate that at the event venue. And then we set up, obviously, a day before the event, or 2 days depending, or 3 days depending on the magnitude of the event. And then we do test again and recces for the whole event before now the event is kicked off.
The studio, the production unit, the way you see it today is actually as a result of us looking for a solution, looking for innovation, for us to be able to continue connecting people during COVID, because nobody could go, we're not allowed to attend events, so people cannot come together. But we've taken it upon ourselves as our sole objective is to connect people. So how do you connect people when you can't have physical events? That's what actually created the studio.
Our studio is important because we basically use our studio in all our events, basically because our events are virtual. We have physical events. They also do webinars for us. They also do podcasts. There's project mapping.
My department really has no choice but to work closely with studio, and we've enjoyed a remarkable teamwork between the two teams to make sure every event that we do is very well executed in terms of any graphics they might need from our end, or anything they might need to just make the event bigger.
The thing that I enjoy mostly about my work is going outside, capturing moments and making those moments become one full thing whereby people can see and enjoy what they are seeing, or the moments they stay in their mind.
The easiest part about selling studio is that we have all equipment. I believe we've invested heavily. The company has invested heavily, and so it's easy to do anything that our clients need in regards to production. And also the team that we have is perfect for the studio.
I think the hardest part while producing the X5 events for us guys in the studio is, actually it's not hard, but it's challenging. We usually put ourselves or set the bar high. So in the next event, you have to surpass that bar. So coming up with a better version of the previous event sometimes may seem challenging, but at the end of the day, we usually overcome.
Feedback. Feedback is a beast on its own. It is something that actually just is a headache for all sound engineers. But in our events, I find that everything else is a matter of finding the problem and fixing it. But feedback is a constant beast that you just have to fight it every time. And once you just have it in check, then you're good.
So there's the format of the videos, and also the timelines, and also sometimes the look and feel of the brand.
Between camera work and editing, I don't have both. I enjoy both of them because usually before I go for an event, I usually research about shots, what other people outside are doing there, other content creators who usually use gimbals. So I usually learn the skills from them and also from my teammates. They usually give me ideas on how to do my gimbal shots and capturing moments. So before I go for an event, I usually picture myself, picture how the end product of the video will be, so that when I go for the event, I usually know what I'm supposed to do or what kind of shots I'm doing. So I don't have like a favorite. Both of them are combined.
The music that gets me in the mood is more rumba, because I like it, take it slow, because now once I go in, you know, brain needs to cool down.
I'm a piano music any day, any time.
Motivational hip-hop rap.
Jazz. It takes me into a zen moment where, you know, it brings out the sensitivities that I need to have in an event, and especially if I have to be speaking or have to do the opening, which a lot of the time the team throws me under the bus to do it. So I have to have that zen moment where I can get into the swing of things.
So the goats in terms of artistry and sound engineering, I'd have to say Mike Dean. Mike Dean mostly is not an artist, but production-wise and the term of executive production he does, he's just OP in my regards.
There's 1 hour, and I keep on telling the team. I think Dan and Gerard, I kept on telling them that 1 hour just before the event is when everything can go haywire. So yes, that 1 hour. That's when now everybody needs to be on top of their game. Everybody needs to bring in their A game 1 hour before any event, because that's where everything goes haywire.
My superstition mostly is when I leave one detail, because when I leave one detail that is gonna be used in the event, I usually have a really bad day because I know that I've messed up big time. Yeah.
I always have to carry a pair of headsets. If I leave my pair of headsets, that event already for me is off the books. It's not gonna go well.
What I believe or what I know is essential for the success of any production is assets. And the most important asset is the team. For example, the park we have we enjoy our work, and each person knows their roles, and each person knows what it is they're supposed to do. So we enjoy our work, we love our work. You have to be passionate about what you do, and you have to agree and know that you coexist with other people in a certain unit. So what is essential is actually being passionate about what you do and know that you coexist with other people and love your work. If you come see us while we're doing our work, especially during setups and set downs, it's usually fun. It's like a party. It's like we've gone for a concert. I think that is what defines and makes a production work, the asset of having a good team.
Hatujasikia vibaya. Wacha tweet. Sawa, wacha tuone hiyo mark.
Mark imetolewa bwana.
Do you have any superstitions before an event?
One sec. Superstition in terms of?
Do you have to like wear a white shirt? Smartphone production, iPhone or Samsung?
Not iPhone and Samsung. It's iOS or Android. It's Android.
Okay, so what's your favorite meal?
My favorite meal. You know, ngoja niseme chapati na walagu.
Previously on CIO100. For 16 seasons, we have celebrated Africa's boldest in technology. 16 years, one stage. Now, season 17. The saga continues. The Oscars of Tech, the event that shuts down the year. Africa's ultimate gathering of technology leaders. 500 plus attendees, 50 plus partners, hundreds of winners. 3 epic days. Speakers from across Africa, delegates from every corner of the continent. Powerful conversations that shape the future of technology. This November, 3 days, one destination. Inashipai, Naivasha. CIO100 Symposium and Awards 2025. Season 17. Register now. Partner with us. Be part of history.